cannot wait to get this one started. And I believe we are moving into the map ban phase. That information is up on your screen right now. So, Ollie, I'm going to put you in the hot seat first. What are you thinking?
Chalet Coastline first two to be removed. Nothing too surprising there. Both good maps. I think DZ put in a stellar performance yesterday on Coastline. They've obviously been putting a lot of work in on that map. They really made short work of Furia on it. So no surprise to see FaZe giving them a little bit of a respect there. But it does leave a couple of good maps open. You think about FaZe, they're a great Clubhouse map. If that manages to sneak its way in, maybe we'll see. There's been a lot of Kafe played throughout the event so far. It's actually going to be a Clubhouse pick from DZ. Now, FaZe haven't been flawless on Club. They did lose it to Liquid. And Kafe coming in as well there as the FaZe pick. I would argue both good maps for good teams.
Yeah, Clubhouse is always going to be a risky one. Yes, FaZe, they looked very weak against Liquid, and I think FaZe, just that series in general, they looked very weak. But keep in mind, FaZe, they had a good performance against Oxygen. 7-3, they took Clubhouse, and well, I mean, if they can take one NA team on Clubhouse, who's to say they can't take another?
Absolutely nothing at all. The final is going to be decided there on a bank if we do get there. I've got a sneaking suspicion that this one could go to all three, especially given the playstyle of the two teams currently going into this game. We've seen such a well-rounded performance from FaZe. There really isn't a lot that separates them when you start looking at overall rating, you start looking at the cost and really digging deep into these teams. There's actually only a spread of 7% in the costs through top to bottom on the FaZe members. And if you want to talk about plants, basically everyone's had a do. There's a lot of people that have got 3 plants down, and there's Souls up there who has managed to bolster that number back up to 10.
All right, gentlemen, our teams are ready to go. He's going to finish eating that banana here in a second, though. But yeah, we're ready. Okay, so who will stay here at SI and who's going home? DarkZero versus FaZe. Pengu and Intero, take it away. Let's go.
Well, thank you so much, Jackie, and thank you so much to the desk, Nick. It's time for our final matchup before the main stage on Friday. We already know most of the teams that are making it through, 5 of them, in fact. 7 teams remain, and 1 more will go home. FaZe Clan from Brazil versus DarkZero from North America. And I want to say this is going to be a close match. I hope it's not as decisive as the MIBR OXG matchup, but I want fireworks and I want violence.
Certainly, and speaking to the fact that we're getting so late into Invitationals, it's getting more and more empty here, right? Less players, less teams are around, less noise, so a little bit of silence in these quarters this time around. And you did say OXG, MIBR, that was very fast game, very one-sided. And well, that did send one North American team home, and we're going to see if DC can stick around or if it will be FaZe to take the win. Both teams, of course, quite formidable. FaZe, they did win in Sweden, so they've had a dub very recently. Well, DC, they haven't really had a dub recently, right? They got second at the NL Finals, they lost to Sonics, and then they've been grouped at most events and whatnot. They have had a bit of a shake-up in the roster. We now see Canadian on that lineup, and they've done some role changes as well, which has been like the main kind of, I guess, target for most NA teams here. SSG, they had some role changes, DC had some role changes, and TSM had some role changes. And we see FaZe and Latam, they're just here to slay. That's what they've been doing, right? MIBR, taking out team after team after team, paving their way very far in this tournament.
Paving their way. So much pavement. Ooh, and we're going to be starting on Clubhouse. I like this a lot. Clubhouse, then Kafe are guaranteed. I feel like we get Bank as a decider a lot, but we don't always. You and I as casters seem to get it quite a lot, but we don't often end up getting that far. FaZe came into this event as one of the presumptive favorites. They got knocked to the lower bracket by none other than Team Liquid, who up until this morning, Team Liquid looked like they were unbeatable.
Yeah.
And then TSM beat them 2-0.
America.
Okay, I mean,
They've been looking good so far. That's all I'm going to say.
Their coach is Canadian. One of the players on their team is Mexican. But I mean, sure. America! America! You can shout at this point. Let's get into our very first map of our final matchup today. FaZe Clan, the defending major champs, going up against DarkZero. And believe it or not, Canadian remains the only player in this event who is a world champion. After OXG got knocked out earlier, Space Station got knocked out before that, Ninjas in Pajamas got knocked out before that. Canadian is the sole person who has won a hammer that is remaining at this event, and that might only be for the next 2 hours.
As a player.
Why do you say as a player?
No, he's the only one.
Why do you say as a player?
Because I'm not a player, but I'm a caster, and I've also won, invitationals.
Yeah, you've won 2 of them.
Yeah, you gotta say it now. You know what I'm about to say to you. Come on.
Back to back.
Back to back. Yeah, there it is. That's correct. And with that, we are back onto Clubhouse. It is a Thatcher, Hibana, Mira, and Valkyrie situation. Nothing quite out of the ordinary. The Hibana band really targets the basement defense because all those hatches that you want to open, and that also makes perfect sense as to why DarkZero will be heading to the basement first. With the Thatcher band, it's very common to see the Kaid being brought out, but Canadian 6 picks off the Kaid onto the smoke instead. This will likely be a roam strat because we see the Mossy, we see the Mute, we see the Vigil. So I'll be very surprised if DC are going to be sitting on side, and I'll be very, very happy to say if they were to roam with this lineup because it makes the most sense, right?
Well, I mean, if you're going to roam, you're going to bring a couple operators with you for this fabled Clubhouse roam that was invented by a team that Mr. Troy Canadian Dostoyevsky was on, which was Space Station. At the time, the roam involved 4 very key operators, Castle, Vigil, Mute, and Mozzie. And then they would keep somebody on the bomb site, maybe a Smoke. Sometimes you'd see a Legion, Mira if she was available. Mira unavailable, operator bans Thatcher and Hibana on attack, Valkyrie and Mira on defense, for those of you that were not paying attention during the operator ban phase. And even though this lineup might not be the same as what we've seen before, teams do like to roam with it. There's going to be a Banshee on the board, or 2 Banshees on the board, 3 Banshees on the board in the hands of Pambazoo. In Malusi, you've got a Mozzie as well, and a Vigil to waste time too. Just like that, DZR mostly off-site.
That's the great thing about Vigil is that when you activate Vigil's gadget, you get this invisibility towards drones, and it travels up 1 floor and down 1 floor, so you can really mess with the situation. And we see Eclipse actually not really going to bait out his location. He's going to be hiding instead inside of Strip Room, and that's a little bit of a different approach, but as you see there, the gadget came online, and now if FaZe have any drones nearby, have to guess sort of what direction that's gonna be going in. We see FaZe now joining around Pambazoo instead of Stock, looking for a peek, can't find anything for his money. Stock hatch has been opened, that's a fallback that he can do. Get a drone or something. There's no support for Pambazoo, he is all alone, and Cyber looking to see if he can find the cross here. Pamba playing smart in the corner, understands that there is a risk if he peeks the door, and so he does. Gets the drone, falls back, that's exactly what he has to do.
They've opened up these hatches as well because they want to roam off of them. This is one of the downsides of this roam strategy, is that usually you want to kill tons of time. We'll kill about 2 minutes or so on a basement execute for teams. Take 2 minutes off the clock before you can start getting the execute off. In this instance, you've killed 1 minute, and now Canadian is dead. Canadian was on the bomb site. That's your smoke. Now Eclipse is being found out as well. DarkZero have lost a man, and another almost falls. Cyber being escorted in by a Rotero drone, and very quickly, FaZe want to hit this bomb site. This leaves a perilous position for the roamers playing above, and DZ will have to get those bodies back to the bomb site.
Yeah, we see there, Pamba came all the way back to side, he dropped that hatch, and I'm curious where Canadian died from. Must have been that kitchen hatch. Second aid comes out, the shield is gone, but Pambazoo stays alive. The Banshee is on the door. If FaZe walks through, DC will hear, they will know, they will see the animation from the gadget of the Melusi, the whoop-whoops, if you will, or the Banshees as they're called. The Cyber will stick his ground, stick the gun, but Souls finds one more for FaZe.
And that was Eclipse who was damaged earlier on. Now Pambazoo is gone. FaZe in a 5v2 with a minute still left to go. Now it's Bullet to take some damage. Cameraman at the bottom of the stairs. Hyper pulls out a pistol. NJR on the re-entry to the bomb site gets a cameraman. The diffuser was being planted by Souls, but he's aborted it for now. Hyper gets peeked around the doorway. Cyber picks up both the first kill and then the last 2 as well. A 4K for Cyber as he makes his own success. FaZe take round number 1.
Big opening for Cyber. Every time that we've cast in Parker, we've been talking about how Cyber has had a rough couple of games, right? Usually the first to fall, he plays the sledge commonly, and then like you lose the verticality if you're FaZe. This time around with the situation, he is on the Maverick, and he had a really good first round. 4 kills to his name, and DC fell really early. Of course, Canadian falling with that smoke, that really is the beginning of the end. If you're DarkZero, it's the player on the bomb site that falls first, and that forces all those roamers immediately back to the bomb site because it's emergency. If you're pushing through dirt, if FaZe is gonna drop that kitchen hatch, you need to be able to respond and have enough bodies and enough guns to fight them, to challenge on even grounds. And that will be that. We're not going to go basement again. We are going up to gym instead. That is DC still on the defense, and they're going to be playing a couple of different operators. Namely, you got the Wamai and the Jaeger, so you can cover those shields. They have only one of those. That will be on the side of NGR on the Alibi. They got the Evil Eyes on Eclipse. That's going to help with information. And now we're seeing their beautiful faces on the player.
I don't know what's going on, but it looks like they might
have been a...
It might have stopped. I don't know what's going on.
Or we're just going to get some player FaceTime here. I'm all for it. We're going to see what the situation is. Just sit tight for a second. And in the meantime, watch the beautiful faces of the players as they too are figuring out what's happening.
Right in front of your camera goes Souls, then Bullet, then Cameraman, then Cyber, then Astro, all the way at the end. Go over to DarkZero, by the way, so I can do the exact same thing and flex my extensive amount of knowledge. Or don't do that. Just leave me sitting here. It's actually going to be a rehost.
Ooh.
So I'm not sure what went wrong. But
Someone pulled the plug.
We will get right back into the matchup. One round.
There it is. Do it.
There we go. Okay, you got NJR, you got Pambazoo, you got some guy who shouts at a monitor, you've got Hyper, and you've got Eclipse.
Also true.
Also true. And then behind them, you've got BC. Mint from DarkZero is also here, by the way. He's not behind the team, but he is present at the event.
Yeah, I believe you can bring 7 people this time around for this event. It was in the beginning of COVID, it was 6, so like the 5 players and the main coach. Now we can see 7. So that can be 5 players plus main coach, maybe a social person, a manager, or in some cases 2 coaches, if you will. That's what DarkZero has brought. Mint is a secondary coach who works alongside BC, so they have 2 brains instead of 1. And it really shows in how structured the DarkZero tends to play, even in this more aggressive-like meta. They are still one of the few teams that plays that semi-older version of Siege, where strategy is a very big focus. But I would say more and more teams have actually started playing for objectives, like the plant. It was SSG, even FaZe themselves, even NIP, the most aggressive team, I would argue, in the world, or up there at least. Even NIP has started playing more and more for plants. So I think teams are starting to recognize that it's risky to play for kills unless you have a crazy advantage. That's how throws they start happening. And playing for the objective of planting is relatively simple and really high success rate.
Well, we saw in that previous round exactly what the biggest deficit of roaming on Clubhouse is. If a team reads that, they'll push the bomb site very quickly. We've seen it across all of the regions, and there have been some setups where it's a Mira as the last operator in the bomb site, and then they'll just run in full bore, and guess what? The Mira gets overrun, you've lost complete control of the bomb site, and you're toast, effectively. You have to retake when it's the attackers who now have control of that bomb site, and you've essentially flipped it. But the difference is that attackers usually have the utility to flush you out. You as defenders don't really have any utility to get back to the bomb site, barring like maybe a nitro cell, or if you're a roaming smoke, you might have smokes in your disposal. So
unless you're dead.
Also true.
That's what happened to Canadian, right? There was this
also true.
Off the board, and yeah, you said it right. Basically, when the round starts, you can either challenge the roam, go up above, and like fight them, or just hit the bomb site. Like you mentioned, you open up dirt, open up kitchen hatch, and now you play that, well, we have pressure on side. Roamers, what do you want to do? Now you have to respond, and it's what happened. And when you kill the smoke, well, it makes your life so much easier. But it looks like that we'll be getting back into the game. It is round 2, and if I'm not wrong, we should be seeing Gym bomb site again, because you gotta stick the same operators, you gotta stick the same bomb site. Or it's not. We're just gonna see for a second more these beautiful player cameras. There it is, transition logo screen.
Hooray!
Oh, back in we go.
We did it!
Should be same 6 picks, same operator, same bomb site, you know the drill. You can't change things up, that would be cheating, and that's why we see NGR 6ing on the Alibi and Cameraman 6ing on the floors.
I do want to spend just a second here while this is on your screen and give praise to the fact that the FaZe clan have matched their player card backgrounds. They're the only team at this event who did it, by the way. I have watched an unbelievable amount of Rainbow Six Siege over the last little while, and I have not seen it anywhere close to matching like they do, so kudos to them.
I didn't know that was something that players had to worry about for cookie points, Parker. I honestly didn't know. But I guess there it is. if you match your backgrounds, you will get praise from casters for doing so. It's kind of like, I guess, matching shoes for your esports jersey. That's similar fashion where if you're on the same page, you'll all be looking very nice together.
Yes. Skinnergizing, as they call it, by the way, which is when you synergize with different team skins. And speaking of, there's been advertisements.
Skinnergize?
Skinnergizing.
Is that an actual word?
Yes, it's when, like, let's say, you know, you queue in.
Yeah.
All right, you want to run certain operators that have matching skins.
Okay.
You Skinnergize with your teammate. Oh my god, all of them are wearing Outbreak skins. Bad, don't do that. Oh my god, all of them are running Ember Rise. How can you tell? Are they roaming? Are they on site? We don't know, they blended.
They're invisible.
So, yeah, exactly. Anyway, this is a gym defense, as you talked about, Nick.
Yep.
Most teams want to extend out to cache and CCTV. DZ have done that. The wall leading from the exterior to CCTV has already been opened up, so that is at least a small part of the execute in tow. The hatch above Canadian and logistics has also now been opened up. So you're taking out some of the avenues into the bomb site. Relatively early for FaZe Clan here, as we're not even a minute into the round.
Yeah, it looks like FaZe wants to get pressure to side, just like the previous attack on basement. In order to clear out this Kite Claw, they droned below. They saw the Kite Claw wasn't there. They can assume it's inside, most likely. Oh, never mind, it'll be the Maverick Torch. So Maverick Torch opens up the wall, then a Nate comes through. That should clear the Claw. Then the Thermite can then breach the wall. Now you have pressure from CC breach to Jacuzzi breach, and you keep DC guessing like where you're going to be attacking from. Earlier on, we saw it was Flores, it was Cameraman opening up the office hatch as well. And these were Terror drones that clearing every single piece of utility that main stairs is prepped, office hatch is prepped. That's really good.
I think this is the last Rotero drone, by the way. It's inside of logistics. Cameraman now without any utility. Oh no, there's still one Rotero drone left. Okay, I was wrong. It showed 0 for a second there. So where is he going to put it? The Maverick carving up some of the walls inside of construction from the exterior, and now a Rotero drone is going to go over to the deployable shield. This is huge value. 2 ADSs and a deployable shield, but the magnets are still up from Hyper, so a little bit of cheekiness.
Every single drone from Cameraman like on the Flores gained an absurd amount of value. Not a single one destroyed or jammed or anything of the like. That is really, really good. And that's kind of what Flores can bring you. If you don't counter the drones, they will just go crazy and get so much destruction capabilities done. And well, if you do counter them, they get nothing. So it's a very, very high risk, high reward kind of gadget, but this round in particular, it really pays the dividends.
Absolutely. We love to see that, and we've talked about how Flores can impact a meta and how Flores can impact a single round. Even though all of this work has been done by the Rotero drone and the rest of FaZe to open things up, you wouldn't understand the sense of urgency that you see with only 30 seconds remaining in the round. So tick-tock goes the clock for FaZe. First contest is DZ, and they're feasting on FaZe. 2 picks for DarkZero. Nothing from FaZe Clan hitting its marks just yet. Cameraman taking some damage. Hyper on a flank. Bullet is inside a cache, but Hyper falls off. Bullet's just gonna sit there and wait. No diffuser in hand for FaZe. You gotta hurry, folks. Things are not going in your favor. Bullet picks up 2 kills, and all of a sudden it's a 2v2, but there's nowhere near enough time for them to get the diffuser, and Canadian will swat down the last player of FaZe. There was still one upright, but not in the action, and that's the round for DarkZero.
That's that lack of urgency from FaZe. Had a good first round, a good middle of that round as well, but then they kind of they stand still. Is the diffuser player jumping in construction window, gets taken out. Diffuser's now in Narnia, as we say, very far off anyone that can retrieve it, and there wasn't really any follow-up. And DC, they close out the round, even though it came down to that 2 versus 2. And we're gonna say, hey, back to church we go. So there will be no CC in play so far. This is quite common because the Maverick is open. It really renders that bomb site really vulnerable and quite weak. And basement with Ibana being banned is on paper really good, even though the first time DC did lose that bomb site.
I will give a lot of commendation to FaZe for how they were able to pivot. Even though it took them till the final 30 seconds for them to get on the board and start their execute, they picked off a couple players from DarkZero relatively fast. And honestly, if they had the diffuser and maybe 5 more seconds at their disposal,
Could've been good.
They could have potentially won that round. That's how close it was. A great start from DarkZero goes bad. They trade out. The advantage doesn't go in either direction, and FaZe can keep it close. And I know that we're going to talk about both of these teams an awful lot, so allow me to start off by talking about FaZe now with round number 3 underway. FaZe Clan are so lethal because of this. Because you can never count them out. Round after round, even if they trail in numbers, even if they look like they don't have a ton of utility, this team can beat you, and FaZe are so deadly for that reason, among many. And we saw the drone work from them, we saw the utility work. All of those were exemplary.
Really good.
But in terms of gun skill as well, this team is really almost a full package, and that's why they've been the favorite for so many people to win this whole event.
Yeah, not just this event, but FaZe, like, historically across Siege the last many years, have always been a name that we've talked about at the international stage. They've always been a contender, and they might not have gone to that many grand finals in recent history, but they did win that Sweden major very recently indeed. And then, I mean, they were at a final previously in Brazil on home soil, and they didn't win necessarily, but making it to a grand finals in itself is an accomplishment, is an achievement. And FaZe, they are world champion-like players. They're a very strong team, they have really good fundamentals, and at this tournament in particular, it really has been Souls and Astro, in my eyes, that have been shining the most.
Well, here we go. Another Church execute 1 minute off of the clock, and it's a very different setup from DarkZero. They've gone with some of the most popular anchors that we know and see all the time. Maestro, Kaid, Smoke, even a Goyo, if you want to play him quite aggressively on the site.
You know what we call this strategy? It's a turtle. You're turtling.
You are
right?
turtling.
You get your shield up, you get nice and comfy and cozy.
DZ looking at their setup from the very first round and going, am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club? Anyway, they are turtling in, as you mentioned, and what that means is, again, we go back to what we talked about, clock on round number 1. You want to use about 2 minutes or so to open everything up. That'll give you about 1 minute to 45 seconds for then you to be able to turn and head into the bomb site with diffuser in hand and hopefully get a pick or two. There hasn't really been any early action here. We're at the halfway point now in round number 3. DZ are just sitting tight in the middle of the bomb site. All 5 players protected, sheltered, not really too worried about where the players from FaZe are coming from.
Happy in their lane they are, and the thing is, it's really a 5 versus 5, like 20, maybe sub 30 second execute, because it will really come down to the wire, and this is something that gets quite hard. If you're a FaZe, then it favors you because they're so good in the chaos, whereas DC, well, what do you got? You got 1, 2 C4s and 3 toxic babes. That's you have to make that work in your favor, otherwise the guns from FaZe, they will just outright beat you.
Well, the damage has been done to Hyper, and that is about it. Outside of that, sitting pretty, 40 seconds to go. As I pointed out, this is the time that you really want to make something work. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Is he... Is the Kaid on cam? Is he on cam? Does he not know? He doesn't know. Oh my goodness, you're about to die. You need to get off it. But he turns and they ultimately lose out. That was not ideal. What an absolute mess that was. And now you've cleared out some of Church. That's the Maestro that was down of Canadian. Hyper swings a big double piece. Diffuser surrendered and a third is lined up for the man they call Paul. Leaving Bullet to die and FaZe getting absolutely overrun.
That is a hero play from Hybrid. Sitting in the corner really paid off. And you think, that's a silly idea to sit there, but the thing is, when FaZe's clock is just ticking down and you don't have the drones or the time to check every single corner, these kind of plays can really punish you. And that's why you want to leave enough room above to really make sure that you have the time and sure to check this. 15 seconds left to walk on in, easy 2 kills, and the third person, well, he's sprinting, can't even shoot back. Astro, arguably amateur mistake, but he has to be quick, because otherwise, well, the time runs out and you lose the round regardless. And that now forces DC to go to CC, arguably the weakest bomb site, probably tied with Bar, given the current operator band selection, and it's going to be a similar song it will be singing. DC keeps playing this wall deny situation with the Kaid and the mute, denying drones and making it more difficult for FaZe to breach. If there was no wall deny, you could simply just thermite the walls straight off the bat. But because you're bringing a mute and a Kaid, you have to drone out the utility or use your Maverick Torch, and it slows you down if you are an attacker. And the time has been so important both of these first 3 rounds. So DC, they keep playing that same strategy.
All right, well, you learn from your mistakes, right? That's the whole point of it. DarkZero on that very first round goes for the roam. North America roaming on Clubhouse has been studied to death so often. And as I said, it was popularized by Space Station. There was a period of time where we called it the SSG roam. And I'm sure a lot of the other teams that were just as good, if not potentially even better, or maybe even they were the innovators of it, but SSG was the first one to really popularize it. Might have been taking some umbrage with it. But other than that, DarkZero goes for it, doesn't work out. Like I said, it's been studied to death. They go with something a lot more familiar, as you said. Turtle Strat works out.
Yeah, and that's like the two different play styles that you can have and do, and it's very nice when you see a team, they play a bomb site one way, and then, well, it didn't work out. You do a complete 180, different approach, and it makes it more difficult to pick it apart as an attacker, because if you're familiar with the setup and you've beaten it once, it's arguably even easier to beat it the second time around. And this is the first CC. Cameraman on the floor is now drone value from that Retero, but it gets jammed this time. No value will be had from that one in particular, but there are more to go.
They make a very obvious sound as well, and another Retero drone will go in, but oh no, did that one get jammed too? We talked about value of these Retero drones, Nick, and now that's 2 Retero drones of the 4 available that have been caught by a mute jammer. I know it might seem silly that I'm so excited by something that is so very much unsexy, but I mean, it's exciting to see good utility work from the defenders. Their gadgets catching FaZe off guard.
It is, and you see this double wall reinforcement to office wall itself that allows Hyper to play on this shield, on this jail wall, as I call it, into cash. But they're gonna stop Maverick and open a single construction wall instead, and that's gonna deny this position from Hyper. Has to fall off, can't contest, Nate comes out, should clear the shield and that last piece of utility. And that now means that FaZe are attacking both angles because CC wall is open, as we see on screen, and they're starting to work on that master side as well. So FaZe really spreading up thin.
And that's a soft wall now on that construction panel outside. It can be taken up at any point by the attackers and blown wide open. There's still 1 Retero drone left. If they don't want to use any of Zophia's lifeline explosives, the Retero drone is perfect for creating a big enough window or big enough doorway for them to be able to get in. All the while this is happening, there is a roamer downstairs in Canadian, not necessarily known for his prowess as a killer, more as a leader, and that's okay, but what is he able to accomplish? Somebody from FaZe is going to be tasked with flank watch, or maybe not. We've seen teams expose that weakness many times, get a little bit too tunnel visioned on the bomb site, and get caught and tripped up by somebody coming back to the bomb. So, will Canadian be able to pull that off? FaZe now with only 30 seconds to go. They're in. Nice shot from Cyber onto NJR, and there's more to go. Hyper keeps his team intact. Down goes Canadian, as we talked about. Hyper, again, having an incredible round. Pambazoo now gone. Eclipse bleeding out more from Hyper. Jesus, you're kidding me, but he only gets 2 or 3 in the site. That's all she wrote. And FaZe versus Hyper goes in FaZe's direction.
That looks so winnable for Hyper. He actually had the perfect timing. He was holding the window, got the first opening kill onto Sophia, then he looked away, but there was 2 more players there, but he walked in, got cover from the soft wall, and when he walked back out, got the following up kill. We'll see it here in just a moment. Got this, turned around, other guy jumps in, he dukes it out, then turns back again. Third guy comes in the window, but it's Thermite, it's Souls to take him out. FaZe playing triple Heartbreach, something worth noting. And that's something that Sonics themselves have really shown throughout this tournament where, well, if you lose 1 Heartbreach, you got more to spare. And I do believe that in the previous round, Astro on the Ace had 3, all of his Heartbreach gadgets available because they weren't needed for the execute. They didn't breach that last construction wall into bomb set of cash. They just chose to go for that window jump in. Cyber walked into Super Breach, found the opening kill, and that is the most important aspect. Had Cyber not found that first kill, it's a very different story because the defenders have more guns up and you don't have to worry about that area that otherwise was lost. Tied up 2-2 as we go back to gym defense.
Well, this was the bomb site that DZ first won on. And I'd like to remind everybody that this is DarkZero's map. Nick, if you would like to reference the success of the attackers and defenders on the bomb sites of Clubhouse, I will toss it on over to you. Before we get there, though, Gym Bedroom is not typically seen as one of the strongest bomb sites for the defense. The fact that DZ are so reliant on this bomb site is fun to watch, but might not be the most sustainable, especially since FaZe have proven they can win on Church and CCTV, both of which are bomb sites where you know that they're strong on.
It is true, and with the Maverick Open especially, that kind of, you know, and Ibana being banned, I mentioned it earlier, it kind of sways the numbers a bit because CC becomes a lot worse to defend, FaZe becomes a lot better to defend, and Gym is kind of neutral, as Gym usually is. It doesn't sway too much in favor based off the bans because it plays out the same regardless. Will be DC, will be Eclipse on the Maestro, NGR in sight with the Alibi. You get the 1.5x on this primary weapon, you get a shield and a secondary shotgun in the Bailiff. Pamasu with the impact grenades, is playing on Cash side. The reason why that's important to note out is because those impact grenades can deny the wall breaches from the side of FaZe if you choose to. Same thing DC did the last time, Hyper playing the red stairs, Cyber on the roof with cameraman, droning out. Souls have now managed to breach the open wall on Jacuzzi. So same story for FaZe. They want to breach every single possible wall they can and keep DZ on their toes, not knowing where the strike will come from.
Well, there goes a drone to that Maestro cam, and now another start onto the wall inside of construction. Canadian playing off the spot in logistics that he was at before, that nook and cranny underneath the hatch. And if you see what the Kaid has in his back pocket, it's a nitro cell. Ooh. That's an express mail to the hatch should somebody get a little bit too close from FaZe. But I will say this about FaZe. The Rotero drone were so significant in their previous execute onto this bomb site. I'm actually a bit surprised that they weren't bringing it again, because I don't assess that as being the problem. Bullet is the problem in this round. Pambazoo gets the very first kill of the round, and all of a sudden...
Oh, FaZe are going in.
FaZe are without one. But look at this. They're just bursting into the bomb site. Out goes Canadian. The action happening off site. But FaZe looking to take control, and they'll do just that. Eclipse and NJR are the next two to go. Pambazoo and Hyper in their sights, and it's all on the shoulders of Hyper yet again. He's miles away, boxed out, and will have to swing and fight against the 4 players from FaZe, and a diffuser now as well. Maybe some stat padding for Hyper, but none of that's to be found. 2 in a row for FaZe. They take the lead, 3-2.
It's really unfortunate when your DarkZero and your top gunner of Hyper is off the bomb site roaming when FaZe goes for a side rush. What happened off screen right before we snapped into action was that you had the Sophia on that master bedroom window, that's Bullet. He got shot down from silver window. And the moment that happened, 3 players from FaZe rushed into that Jacuzzi breach. 2 guys went to gym, 1 went master hallway. They just capitalized and found so many picks trading off each other, almost not even losing anybody in the process. And you asked me earlier about the defender win rates, and it is actually a defender-sided Clubhouse across the board in 23 games played here at Invitationals. 54% in favor of the defense, with Church being the most defender-sided bomb set at 63% success rate. And second up is actually Master Bedroom Gym, as we expected. And that's because Akash gets affected very heavily by different operator bans, and Maverick is very commonly open, and, well, Maverick really cares about that bomb site. Back in basement, however, we see kind of a hybrid. It's not a roam
I was going to
setup,
say,
but it's like the in-between, if you will.
don't make me make another Master of Disguise reference. Instead, I won't say anything about turtles, but I will tell you that you're right. Before, they really liked the Maestro. I honestly don't think the Maestro was as crucial for their last defense. The Maestro was the first pick. That was Canadian, who was sitting by the church wall, who got picked apart because he wasn't paying attention. They nabbed open the wall.
Is that what happened?
Kind of a sleeper moment. Kind of a sleeper moment. In the great words of Jesse Chick, esteemed analyst and current Canadian,
Okay.
also former baby, he said about Super, maybe don't go AFK when a Rotero drone is coming. Maybe don't go AFK when there's 20 seconds in the round and you're sitting by a church wall, which is, you know, the primary target for a lot of teams.
Just hit your heads. Just don't go AFK. That's the name of the game. Just do the right thing, really. It's not that difficult. I mean, we can all be professional players, right? You just gotta hit your shots.
Well, I mean, you can't be a professional player. That's why you're washed plus L plus ratio.
I'm not gonna race you back today, Parker. We'll take this fight another time, but NGR, he takes his fight, even though Cyber was on to jump in and engage. It's opening pick inside of favor of DarkZero, and I mean, Cyber, what are you doing, buddy? There's no one there to help you.
In terms of opening picks now, this first half in the books, DZ get 3 of them. FaZe get 3 of them as well. But would you believe it that FaZe won 2 of the rounds they got the opening picks? So far for DZ, it's only 1, and that's a sneaky punch hole created by Bullet inside a garage. Pambazoo gets caught with his pants down. A bad performance for somebody who is often tasked with getting a lot of kills. Pambazoo, NJR, and Hyper are the 3 tips of the spear for DarkZero. Pambazoo 1 and 5. That's nowhere near good enough for this team.
You might see cameraman bringing out the OSA. Not something we commonly see on a basement attack, and I'm curious where she'll be playing around. It'll be main stairs right now, trying out its default cam. That's really nicely done. It's like the one thing you should always do. Destroy every single default camera in the building if possible, because denying information is really, really key to these attacking rounds. Astro, he's vibing, he's chilling, waiting. Red ping comes out, can't respond just yet because he wants the aim to swing him for information and not be the one to aggro. Cameraman has not been injured from a C4, but Are you kidding me? Shots.
Oh my
right.
goodness, that is absolutely nasty. Cameraman dies in the gas just in front of him. It's Astro's turn to drop on down with Souls inside a dirt tunnel as far apart from one another as is humanly possible. FaZe have a minute now to figure out the next steps of this attack. Maybe inside a kitchen. Is there a nitro cell with Astro's name on it? He'll open up the kitchen hatch, and now some of the floor will go with those breaches in hand. The ace holding onto those breaches means that the thermite is the one with the smokes. So you want to smoke off and go for a plant. Here's the thing about FaZe. Again, I would like to repeat, just because it's a 2v4 that favor DarkZero
Diffuser
does not mean anything. Diffuser is down. You're absolutely right. It's been surrendered inside of blue by Hyper. Astro drops. He gets gunned down by Canadian. Souls, a potentially meaningless kill. Maybe, maybe not. A second one joins now as well, picking up that diffuser, creeping up through blue. They know his position. They know exactly where he is. Neither of these two players from DarkZero need to do anything, but instead there's a nitro cell from NJR. He takes matters into his own hands, and that's DZ to equalize, and the round count after the first half is 3 apiece.
First, I saw DC play 2 different basement defenses, right? The first time was that heavy roam game, second time the turtle. This was like the in-between, a little bit of semi-roam, a little bit of semi-turtle. But FaZe, looking at them, they also had a very different attack because they were extremely isolated. Bullet was on catwalk rafters on that punch hole. He got a kill, good for him. Cyber on the Maverick jumped in the blue window and just died to NGR alone, not good. Then you had cameraman getting C4'd alone inside of kitchen before any vertical play or hard breach had been enabled. Also not good. So FaZe, they used to play very tight together in a 3-4-man formation, and on that very last attack, there were 5 individual players spread across the map, and DarkZero punished them by just simply winning their ones. That's the gunfight, by the way, in case you guys weren't aware. Winning your ones, winning the gunfight, the 50-50.
Yeah, I got it.
Maybe someone did.
I understood what you were saying.
Yeah, but you're not the only one here, Parker. We got 5.
I mean, actually, we're sitting like in an...
It's very empty.
We're
here,
sitting in the middle of the convention center with absolutely nobody nearby. I feel like the teams are about the 50 meters away. Production is about 60 to 70 meters away.
True.
There's nobody in the vicinity. I can't see a single person. We are in a cavernous hall right now, just shouting into the abyss. So, very first defense for FaZe Clan, and they're going to roam very heavily. This is what DarkZero tried on their very first defense. Same bomb site for both the teams, too. DarkZero started on Church, down in that basement. Now FaZe is going to do the same thing. FaZe's roam setup, though, looking very similar. Is Souls alone in the bomb site, though? That is the one question I have. Or is there a second player from FaZe who might stop DZ from just overrunning the anchors?
Yeah, you got Bullet on the main stairs as that middle ground. He's the anchor between the two people, and that's very nicely done from FaZe. If the side player falls, it's his turn to respond. But 3 players roaming other than that, and FaZe are a bit more committed. They even got 80 S's on this catwalk rafters, meaning that, well, you can't just walk in, throw a single flashbang, and take out Cyber, because he has those idiots to back him up. He also has help because there are guns nearby of Cameraman and Astro. Now DC, here comes the challenge, here comes the test. Can you figure out how to get this player safely off the board without falling first?
And it's Astro to distract. Onto that lounge wall, the rat-a-tat-tat of the Jaeger's gun from above. Should have been heard by DarkZero, and now the flashes go in to try and eat the ADSs. Astro reassesses the situation, gets back up top, and picks up a kill to boot. FaZe beating DZ down, and now have themselves a 4v3. That becomes a 4v2. DarkZero running head first into the guns of FaZe, suffering for it, leaving Hyper at 50 HP, and Canadian fully healed. But Diffuser, not within reach of either of them at the moment. Right now being actively watched and patrolled by FaZe Clan. There's still half of the round to play here for FaZe, and they are sitting pretty.
That they are, in DC kind of failed that challenge that they had where, well, they only found 1 kill traded back by 3 from FaZe, and that's really not the odds you're looking for. Now, you gotta scrap this round together at best. Canadian goes to server breach, that's why Diffuser was down earlier, but he's all alone, and so is Hyper downstairs of red, and here comes a challenge, and there it is. Cyber strikes true, gets the kill, leaving Hyper in a 1 versus 4.
Cybersecurity is a big deal right now, and that's exactly where he was upstairs, right? I'm just trying to get these puns in to redeem myself from a Master of Disguise reference. I got paid money. to say that today.
That's ridiculous.
That is literally the dream here, Nick. By the way, this round is pretty much over. There's 45 seconds to go. Hyper's in a 1v3. Diffuser is not within reach for him still, and he has no idea. Shouting at the clouds. He'll head into stock. He's got an opening in blue. If you're FaZe, you just need to wait for him to drop. You don't need to move at all. Playing behind the deployable shield, there's Astro. Started off the killing, ends the killing. That's a statement round for him. Cyber done the same on the very first round. So a nice bookend to the start of the round and the end of the round. That's 4-3 for FaZe.
It was really good based in Rome. I actually loved the fact that Cyber brought the Jaeger with the Odysseus to Catwalk, because if you think about it, if you're roaming with 3 players, odds are that either the roamers will fall or the roamers will succeed and therefore take out multiple, if not one, of the attackers. So by investing the Odysseus early on, you increase the odds of the roam aggression to work out, whereas let's say Cyber put all those Odysseus on the bomb site instead. Well, if the roam falls apart and you lose 3 players to nothing, the 2 solo players on site are not going to have any fun and a very slim chance to win, so it makes really good sense to bring that with you out into the roam game and really define the round in that beginning. And that's why it's so important if you're DarkZero or any attacking team for that matter to really take your time with that roam clear, because if you can beat the roam, you've beaten the entire strategy. The bomb site will be a lot weaker and have very few players on the bomb site itself. And you're seeing right now FaZe are making cheese holes or making a cheese out of this wall. That's because of the Maverick being open. When you're torching the wall left to right, well, basically by shotgunning multiple holes in the wall, you create 2 different layers. And the torch has a really hard time kind of going from one layer to another, and it slows down the process. We might see it if Eclipse starts working his way or working the magic on the wall with the torch, but basically it's something that you do only against Maverick. It also helps you with the sound propagation, but that's not really a thing here because, well, you're going to be seeing Maverick literally just open up the wall in front of you.
All right.
All right.
You didn't know I was going to say next, did you?
No, I was waiting patient. I was like, what's next?
I was wondering how long you would wait. CCTV cache defense. And I don't know, is this a... No way.
What?
No way. They're expecting a potential sledge onto that garage wall yet again. It is unreinforced, and you know why? Cyber was there with a pre-placed nitro cell to possibly toss down. That's a nice lineup.
Oh, I see what you mean, actually. And they extended his master, actually. A little bit of different reinforcements.
So what the idea here was, and follow me along, observers, was inside of construction, there was a nitro cell that would have gone down and been tossed to that panel the moment that DZ got baited into that. But DZ, wise to the parlor tricks of FaZe, and they decided not to do that.
Interesting.
Smart move, by the way.
Yeah, I guess so. Unknowingly, of course, the DC, but they breached open the server wall, and the single construction panel falls next. And that's easy, because there is no wall deny from FaZe besides the mute, which is quite easy to deal with, not as efficient as the kite that DC was bringing themselves. Now the question comes, DC, what is the next step? Because you have 2 options here. The garage attack or the split take that FaZe did, but they're ready for it. But Hyper finds the opening pick. That's Astro off the board, then Melusi off the board.
That's really big as well. Astro and Cyber have had some really big rounds for this team. And there goes the Nitro Cell tossed out. And it connects. We get to see it in real time. Boom goes the dynamite. Down goes NJR. He's not quick enough to react to it and was probably confused as that anvil drops on his head.
I mean, if you hear a C4 rip and you're outside garage, you're like, where is this? Oh, there. Oh, I'm dead. Okay. Not much you can do there besides flicking the C4, and it takes like really, really clever use, I would say, to figure out like what exactly is happening. Nice C4 from FaZe. That's going to do a really nice job for them because that's 2 nades off the board. And actually, Eclipse, he's already spent his. There are no nades from the side of DarkZero. It's going to be very hard to clear this catwalk player. That's a very pivotal position of the map. Hyper walks on in, does the timing. He looks at the exact wrong moment.
Unbelievable bounce back from FaZe now as they pick up 2 kills. And suddenly, they have an advantage. Eclipse struggling with the rafter play of Souls. Souls still surviving 4 now. Eclipse will need to be a bit more assertive, especially with not a lot of time to go. Possibly baited in by the Banshee. The Jaeger pops up, and Eclipse manages to win the duel without losing some of his HP in the process. Now it's Cyber to tackle that same part of the map. He immediately pivots, and down goes Panbazoo. A debilitating start for DarkZero and for Panbazoo in particular, but Eclipse might be able to save this one for his team. I spoke too soon. Bullet shuts the door on a potential DZ comeback, and they stretch their lead by 2 rounds.
I mean, I don't think you saw it, Parker, because you're looking at it that same moment too. But what happened was that Hybrid just walked in the breach, looked towards Red, and the moment he saw the shoulder of the enemy player, he 180-degree flicks away. And as he flicks, he sees him and tries to readjust his aim and revert the flick motion, but it wasn't enough. He dies. C4 here. Boom. Prep the window, shotgunned it open, tossed the C4. Quick action, quick work, nice toss. Tactical timeout, question mark, coming out? I think so.
It sure seems that way, and we will...
He's talking.
He is absolutely talking, so there is a timeout called. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the team that just lost 2 rounds in a row is probably the one who called the timeout.
I think that's very good way to look at it, because, yeah, I mean, there it is. Proof.
I'm going to take some heat for this, and I couldn't give a damn what you think, but I just want to take a second and be a little bit vain. Compliment NJR's nail polish. Dudes wearing nail polish? Alpha. Wear it.
I actually did that recently.
You had nail polish on earlier.
I did. I was doing Christmas, so quite some time ago, actually.
Dudes with nail polish. Rockin'. Dudes rock.
You know who had that? Nay from Elevate. Same story.
Yes. Machine, fabled caster, host, stunning esport personality, trendsetter potentially. Also wears nail polish. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you have a problem with men wearing nail polish, I don't care about your opinion.
Why don't you wear it then?
You know what? I might. Maybe the next time you see me, I'll be wearing it.
All right.
There you go.
Cool.
Maybe.
I'll take your word for it.
Win conditions now for DarkZero for the remainder of this matchup. Now that we just see the timeout taken, settle the team down a little bit. What are the main obstacles that they have to overcome, and what is the key thing, if there is one, that is why they are losing to FaZe?
I mean, the last round was arguably just like very unlucky, right? I mean, the C4 from FaZe, that was 1 kill, that was NGR, nades off the board. And then the second thing is that once they lost the grenades, they recognized they could not clear that catwalk player. They walked in through that breach, and it was Hyper who just had really, really bad timing. And again, you die. That's the round. So if you're DarkZero, it might just be one of those momentum timeouts where you say, okay, FaZe, they've gotten the last 2 rounds, they're really getting momentum. We're gonna stop them now, take a moment to talk about stuff. I think DC just needs to tighten up a little bit, right? And arguably, once Panbeck gets on the board, it gets a bit activated because he hasn't had the best game, especially on the defensive side. I think it's going to look a lot better. For the people at home who doesn't know, Pamba does play Thermite on Clubhouse for DC. We've seen that at the NL finals, saw it probably earlier at this event, not that we've cast him, but it might have happened. That is not something that's like, oh, Pamba went 1-5, so they put him on hard support. Ugh. No, he actually plays this role and this operator on Clubhouse specifically, at least with certain operator ban situations. So Pamba is always on that role. So let's clarify.
All right, well. This is where I make you wait yet again.
I can wait all day.
FaZe Clan looking for A, match point, and B, a complete cycle upstairs on Jim and Master. NA teams, not exactly outside of TSM, not having the greatest success today. The Sonics putting in work against Empire and then getting 7-0'd on map number 3 in the second match of the day. Match number 3, you might have just watched it. OXG getting trounced by MIBR in just 2 maps. Now DarkZero on their own map, having some difficulties. FaZe Clan on defense, a favorable side, maybe not on this tertiary bomb site, the most helpful bomb site for the defenders, but still, with the way that FaZe has been playing, every single round seems like they can win it, and that alone must be mentally draining on this DZ team.
So we just saw NGR in the bar. I think he's waiting for side information for a possible grenade vertically because, oh yeah, he's sitting on a cam, holding himself, and then he can respond once information comes through. And that also allows Hybrid now to do some verticality with that Sophia gadget. That's on that gym rotate to clear out vertically again if there's a player inside that gym. And we'll see later on, NGR's 2 grenades in his pocket. They can do some serious damage. It has been Eclipse who's used that 1 grenade. He has 1 more left as well because every single grenade operator, they have 2 each. And really quickly, those can stack up. And we've seen grenades at this event be so lethal. It was actually SSG. That was the most... There it is. Yellow pin comes out. Nate Cook, toss. Nothing. Well, got the ADS.
I mean, I guess that's some value. An ADS defeated by a nade. Haha, who would have
And you
seen
break the
it
floor,
coming?
so you can't really sit there anymore.
You absolutely do. You know, a second nade just went off as well, and that will likely be called by Astro. It's the NA teams who have been the most proficient with nades underneath. There was a stat that came out a couple days ago on the broadcast that showed how these teams have played with nades in hands. And the NA teams, I think, were all in the top 8. All 5 NA teams, like the top 8 or something like that, which really is quite impressive and shows the lethality that comes from that secondary gadget. We've been doing a lot of talking because there hasn't been a lot of acting happening right now. Canadian swings onto the window. It's the other window by Construction. He gets taken down. First kill goes to FaZe. Answered back by Eclipse. Now it's Bullet up the stairs. He's got 1 in his sights. Hyper is down 2. It's Eclipse in a 1v4 yet again. He will have to clutch out a kill, but that's all he finds. FaZe, so dominant, so good, up 6-3.
You're making it look easy, right? Because FaZe didn't do much that round. They're mostly sitting on the bomb side. They had one roamer on that Goyo who found that flank kill on the main stairs at the tail end of the round. But mostly FaZe are just waiting. They're looking, where is DarkZero attacking from? And then they say, well, if they go for the Jacuzzi Breach, we know exactly how to respond. It was Cyber jumping out Construction window, taking out the isolated player of Canadian on the gym window itself, and that really began the snowball effect because now DarkZero, they've lost the window control. That means that every single player from DC has to come from Office Hatch, from Construction, or walk in from Jacuzzi Breach itself. And that's just so much easier to deal with once you can run around the bomb side when you're on the defense. And because Canadian died on that window, well, no one's holding them stuck. And that allowed FaZe to get a seemingly easy round victory.
All right, well, last defense potentially that we see, last round potentially, as we just finished what could be the penultimate. Back down to Church. FaZe will go. And this has really been an impressive showing from FaZe yet again. There's a reason why some of these Brazilian teams coming into this event were widely seen as the favorites. I interviewed all 20 teams.
All of them?
Nicholas. All 20 teams.
Wow.
Nikolai. And you know what they said to me when I asked, who do you think the favorites are? I would argue that about half of the teams said FaZe Clan. Nip came up, Liquid came up, Team 1 even came up a couple times, BDS of course came up, but the fan favorite among all of these teams was FaZe Clan. And you know what I should have done? I really should have written down every single one that said it and then compiled it and said, here's what the teams think about.
You actually should have done that.
I should have done that. You know what, if I'd been thinking, if I'd rubbed my 2 brain cells together, that's what I should have done. But I believe, just anecdotally, from the, without any scientific method behind it, all of the interviews I did, it was FaZe Clan and walked away with it. This is why. You can never count them out of a round. Every single player is lethal.
Heartbreaking, right? It's match point. You're down 3-6. You just had a really, really rough last 3 rounds because FaZe won the last 4. And now Eclipse, Maverick off the board. It is a basement defense. The Maverick is not widely required, but it is those 2 grenades. Of course, you lose the player, you lose the gun, and Eclipse himself, he is 5-7. He's been hitting shots, but also mostly left alone in those 1v4s, trying to get that plant down.
FaZe are still committed to this full court press, by the way, but they can't hold blue anymore as there goes the hatch above them. They'll have to play a little bit safer into the bomb site. Losing your Maverick, as pointed out, means you only have 1 hard breacher left. You've only got 1 more exothermic charge. Where is that going to be applied? Sorry, there is actually Canadian on Ace. Didn't see him all the way down there at the bottom of your left-hand side. Just blended in. He's on the bottom, actually. I do think that in the post-mortem of this first map, Pambazoo going 1-8 is going to be the storyline of this DarkZero team. Shrinking in the most important matchup that I would argue DZ has been in, that he has been in on this team. This is not a good look for him. It's going to be a tough one. And I know that it's going to mentally affect him, as right now he is losing most of his gun duels and it not performing the way he wants and not providing a ton of utility in the process.
No, it's not. NGR is going to try his very hardest to make that floor suffer, breaking up the floorboards, and he has 2 grenades in his pocket. He can clear out some utility. That Kite Claw is on the kitchen hatch. That means that if DarkZero wants to breach it, Pambazoo, actually, it's only Canadian with hard breach left. 3 summer charges. It's deniable for FaZe. They have 2 impacts on Bullet. So this could be really, really dire, because if you cannot break this kitchen hatch, you have almost no way into side.
I don't know where that Electroclaw is, Nick. I don't know if you've seen it, but the hatch still seems
He impacted it. They got the charges. They can't breach. That single breach won't do anything.
Is unlucky to say the least. No Selmas left. FaZe, based off of an impact grenade, might have just won this map. And it is DZ now to storm into the bomb site, knowing that all hope outside of that is lost. Canadian in getting the diffuser down. There's Pan becoming online. He gets taken out by Souls. Canadian dropped as well. Bullet from the back of the bomb site. But Canadian actually gets the diffuser down. It was his teammate to die instead. NJR goes. There goes Canadian as well, finally. Hyper in a 1v3, but he's above. That means somebody from FaZe will have to retake. Look at how little HP Hyper has. He knows they're coming for him, and they find him, and they kill him. Bullet makes sure that's all she wrote. And like that, FaZe Clan take map 1, DarkZero's map, 7-3.
Extremely convincing Clubhouse from FaZe. In control almost the entire time. FaZe won the first round, then DC won the following 2. But ever since that moment, ever since round 4, it was FaZe Clan in the lead, or at the very worst for them, tied up. And Cyber in particular, outstanding performance those last 2 rounds. Got 2 spawn peaks back to back, shutting DC down before they even got close to the building.
Absolutely unbelievable performance, and frankly, what we come to expect from this FaZe team. I don't know what is the attention of DarkZero right now, but
Might be Mint that came over, secondary coach.
it could be Mint coming over and speaking to the team. I don't know what you're gonna do on your own map now. Going down, that is a rough spot to be in. Kafe awaits them. This was picked by FaZe Clan for a reason, and now it's FaZe to go for the knockout punch on their own map, on your comfortable position, on your own stomping grounds. You might be able to put this one away and move on forwards. That's map 1 in the books. We got at least one more map to play. We got a break ready though. First, we'll be back with more Rainbow Six in just a moment. Well, as you just saw them on your screen, FaZe Clan are a single map away from going up against MIBR, and MIBR will now have an opportunity, if that's the case, to knock out yet another defending major champion. What a run it's been on for MIBR. But let's talk about FaZe Clan for a second here, because they just absolutely just crushed, demolished, bulldozed, buried, smoked, eviscerated.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got stuck.
It was one-sided match.
I got stuck. Sometimes
I unstuck, we're fine. We see the scoreline right now. Hyper, obviously at the top, Pamba's at the bottom. Kind of spoke about that briefly during the cast, where Pamba really had a rough game here. I think he was like 1-5 on defense, really not looking too shabby, or too good rather. Cyber, 17-6. Is that accurate? Did he go 17-6? I mean, it's not about 14, but
numbers don't lie, Nick.
17-6.
Numbers don't lie.
Of course, 3 opening kills. You got 2 spawn peaks. Good job for you, Cyber. I'll say that the simplest way to summarize Clubhouse is that FaZe really set the tempo and the pace, and DC couldn't match it. It wasn't even close, right? DC played very slow, very loose, if you will, and got picked off round and round again. And that's Clubhouse. It is a structured map where normally we don't see this kind of aggression. But we're going to Kafe, which plays very similar, where, well, you gotta pick apart the enemy's strategies. You gotta figure out, like, okay, what are the problems and how to solve them. And the thing about Latin, the thing about FaZe is that they will put a problem in front of you and you'll be like, oh, cool, okay, we gotta nick this area, you know, clear the ADS first with a flashbang. But then somebody swings you like, wah, brrr, takes you out, and you can't do that anymore. And that's really hard to deal with, and DC is a team known to struggle against aggression. And while Cyber single-handedly brought a full team's worth of aggression on Clubhouse.
They did. The one good thing that I want to say about DarkZero is it doesn't look like the mental game is affecting them too much.
Seem okay.
They're a team that can tilt very easily, but in this case, they look far more comfortable. They look like they're in good spirits. It's hard to tell. Eclipse always has the exact same look on his face. I have never seen another look on Eclipse's face except for that one.
It's so like that meme, Eclipse when he's happy, when he's sad, when he's frustrated, it's like the same face on all 3 pages.
You're welcome, social media managers. I now have a meme for you if you'd like to use it. I'm creating jobs. Call me a job creator. Unbelievable stuff.
I'm actually curious. Do you see the DC jersey where you have the name on the shoulders?
Yes.
No, do you like that? Because
I do like that. I do like that.
Because then if you don't know who they are by their face.
Why do you put the name on the back of a jersey?
That's what I'm saying.
When they sit in a chair.
Exactly. In sports, I mean, you have movement, right?
I mean, wait until we get the first joint jersey chair manufacturer that makes translucent chairs so you can see through the back of it.
Okay.
So you can see their name and number. I do like the branding on the front. I think it was actually the Overwatch League who did that. They had the names on the front as well.
They did.
Obviously, DZ aping that style. I like it quite a lot. First operator bands now coming in as we load into Kafe. Second map between these two teams. And it's Thatcher and Twitch off the board. These two operators do function somewhat similarly. It is kind of funny that Twitch is the one that gets taken out here, because on Twitter, they talked about how we were going to see F2 Bazoo, aka Pam Bazoo on the F2, but it's DarkZero who says, we don't really want to put that operator in the hands of anybody on FaZe Clan.
The thing about Kafe is that the entirety of like Piano and Cigar is a bit of a dead zone, so the Twitch drone can just get in, do a bunch of damage, take out a bunch of utility and whatnot. And there are some areas on the map in general where the Twitch drone, with this change that the operator had recently, where her laser tasers are now infinite range. So you no longer need to get all the way up in the face of utility to then clear them. You can do them across the map. And Kafe is quite an open map with quite a lot of range. So Twitch, a lot of value. You get smoke on it. It's F2, really good weapon, of course. And it will be DC on the attacking side first, and it will be FaZe on the defense. So, yeah, if we go back to Clubhouse for a moment, DC needs to find an early footing in this map. Otherwise, it could be a very, very one-sided matchup, because Kafe, it is defender-sided, and the way the FaZe was playing, well, you gotta start challenging the pace or set it yourself if you're DC. Pambasu bringing the Nomad, I think that's actually a nice change to kind of talk about that early aggression from Cyber or FaZe as a team to kind of help slow it down or compartmentalize the map, secure the flanks, jump outs, etc. Reading bombs at is first, that's where we start, and Mirror is being brought from Cyber. So they're going to stand up above, put the mirrors down, and really hold that fortress that is top floor.
Actually, Nick, Fortress is another map.
But it's not here, Parker, so fortification is different. And Fortress is different, okay?
Okay.
We're not in your classic...
Fortress is also a kick-ass album by Protest the Hero.
I did not know that.
Because you should go listen to it, by the way, if you're tuning in and you're like, oh, I like math rock, I like metal.
You're selling us something right now?
Go listen to Fortress by purchasing a good Canadian band.
Buy it.
I'm just trying. Of course, I'm biased towards Canada. That's where I'm from.
So great. Woo, Canada. Woo, maple syrup. All right. Easy. Show us what you got. It is time. First round, set the pace, set the tempo. Figure out, well, how do we break FaZe? It's not going to be easy because no team really has broken FaZe. I mean, sure, they are down here, but it was Liquid who broke them. And Liquid, well, they know them very well because they play domestically all the time. And Liquid themselves have looked quite good at this tournament, right until they met TSM, because TSM looked even better. But neither of those teams are here. It's DarkZero FaZe, not Liquid TSM. Hatches will be opened up. That it will be... Notice how like passive NGR is here, trying to get the hatches open. He's fearing a C4 from below. Often when you play below, you can like use your ear, hear when that sledgehammer goes through, toss up a C4, get a free kill. NGR respecting it. Of course, he could have used those Retero drones to open up the hatch instead, but it's wasted utility. Instead, Canadian will use it on that second desk, B2, I think some teams refer to, and open it up. That basically means less cover for defenders, but you still have these mirror windows inside of bathroom. That's going to be very difficult, and that's the FaZe problem that they've put in front of DC. They got a jammer on it as well. You can't just breach it with the ace. So now it comes DC. How do you solve this problem?
Well, you shoot the Retero drone.
That's easy. But then what next after that?
What comes next? Great question.
Yeah, there's a jam on the rear window, so you can't just ace it. As I said before, we see NGR on the rappel. Nick comes out, gets tossed. Retero drone goes out, destroys that bulletproof camera of the evil eye. Be off the board.
There's explosions abound now as FaZe sit and wait for the drop from DarkZero. Grenade goes in, and it blows up Souls. I don't know what he was thinking, but he didn't really seem to move all that much. Cyber with the Vector cannot contest more than a single player, maybe two at most. He gets found out and punished for it. DarkZero have full control of the top floor now. Their sights will be towards that reading bomb site down below. Or wait, we think that they didn't know that Bullet was there. 2 kills for Bullet, and he could go for more, but Pambazoo stops him. It was an advantage in favor of FaZe, and DZ says that's enough.
Well, that right there, that's FaZe setting the tempo once again because, well, didn't turn out piano, didn't take control. You get punished instantly. 2 kills from Bullet, and what looked like a really good first round for DC now is even back down 2 versus 2. No C4 on Cyber. 30 seconds on this reading defense, and Pambazoo and Canadian, the duo, they have to make work. Good vertical uses of those Retero drones, and it seems to be a pillar execute from Pamba with Canadian up above.
Pamba will look for anybody inside of the bomb site, and through that small opening afforded onto the reinforcement, or the barricade rather, and now goes one of those flashbangs on in. There's a Maestro cam watching. I don't think Canadian knows it. There's a Maestro cam watching both of them, and there's the flank. A nice play by Astro and a pop-up. The Maestro cam is still looking in that direction, and they can continue to just ping away. Astro back into the bomb site. Cyber the unknown. Pambazoo inside a laundry, watching the hatch. Could turn his back towards that diffuser. He sees Astro. Out he runs. Cyber drops on the white stairs. Nicely played by Pambazoo. 2 kills. Is that matching his total from the very first map?
He's showing above.
Now it's Astro to chase. With just a tiny bit of HP, the Aruni heads up the stairs after Pambazoo, and Pambazoo continues to waste time. That's all he needs to do. Astro's in such bad spot. FaZe have actually played the post plant so poorly on this one, and now Astro has no choice but to stick. Pambazoo sees him, off he goes. That's the round. A rare poor performance from FaZe Clan. Pamba plays it perfectly. FaZe screws up, and that's round number 1.
Pambazoo has more kills this round than the entirety of Clubhouse because he found 3. He shot down Bullet early on, and he found 2 kills in that 1 versus 2 clutch. We see it right here. And honestly, I loved how FaZe played that situation when DC went for the plant. One person went up above, that was Cyber, then Astro. He flanked all the way around the bomb site in through pillars, and Canadian was left in this very tough position. There was an evil eye, a Maestro camera to the left of where they planted, spotting them out the entire time. And Canadian had this difficult task. Well, do you try and fight the guy flanking, or do you try and fight the guy above? And all Pamba did was like, you know what, Troy? You got this figured out. I'm gonna keep planting, and it looked terrible for DarkZero. But Pamba somehow somehow makes it deep into the bomb site, isolates Cyber, gets that 1 versus 1. Astro did not push in deep to follow, and then he runs all the way up above, recognizing he can play the post plant like he should be with that vertical play that they used earlier in the round. Nice down Panda, good clutch, important opening round, shutting down FaZe. 1-0 for DC.
Well, both of these teams committing mistakes throughout the course of this matchup. It was DarkZero to commit those mistakes all the way back on Clubhouse. So far, 1 round in, way too early to see if this is a pattern that will re-emerge. But for FaZe Clan, you had the cam in the bomb site. You knew where he was. You really easily could have pinched. But it took Cyber almost half of the diffuser to get into a position to strike. It was really not a good time from FaZe.
I do think instead of Cyber going up above, if you just pushed out through laundry while Astro flying pillars, then you're in the same area, look in the same direction, get that 2v1. But, well, Cyber went above instead. You can argue that was the wrong play because they lost the round. But at a first glance, it looked like the right decision, honestly. It's hard to judge.
Good point. Cocktail defense now for FaZe Clan above on that top floor. Most teams will want to enter from Red Hatch and take control of Cigar. It doesn't look like there's anything different with the way that DZ are going to go about this. What other options do you really have? I mean, you could hot drop the skylight in the middle of the bomb site, or you could start on the basement and clear upwards, but we think that not a smart idea.
No, basement ups, no, we see that in ranked and lower elo where you go basement, you walk up the staircases. It's really hard to work with because then the defenders get to use that top floor against you. We see Cyber here on the brown stairs, and well, he's sitting there holding that hatch drop if somebody were to jump down. Same story for Canadian, clears out the utility with the Retero drone, tries to blow open the desk and the barbed wire, but only gets the barbed wire this time around. He still has 3 more to go, so plenty of options to choose from. And DC have set themselves up on this window repel. Prep 4 below, so if you rappel in ticket, that's going to be an easy kill. Of course, Cyber doesn't have information inside piano, but you can play sound, or the guy in Pixel here can tell you when it happens. DC playing it slow, making sure that they don't lose this opening kill, right? Because if FaZe get the early aggression, that's where FaZe shines. When FaZe gets the opening pick, they have a 70% conversion rate. So that means when they get the opening pick, they have a 70% chance of winning the round so far here at SI. It's the second highest of the remaining teams at this event. So FaZe, when they get the kill, they usually get the round.
Conversion is something that we need to talk about, and at some point we can also run through these bomb sites depending on what we see out of FaZe Clan, whether they want to go to Reading and Cocktail and maybe downstairs. Oh, both Cyber and Cameraman using their Nitro cells. Those are the very first 2 picks. Astro, a beautiful shot on a Canadian. And now DarkZero, well, this is a story of revenge from that previous round. DZ losing out of the Adrenal Surge. 30 seconds to go, and it's a 2v5. Down goes Cyber, first pick, but Hyper's dropped as well. He'll be able to pick himself back up because the Adrenal Surge goes off. Both players from DarkZero now inside of Piano. Eclipse will need the gun check onto Cyber, wins it out. But Hyper goes down to Astro, and now it's a 1v4. They will collapse on him. He knew Astro was coming, but there's not much he could do. So little HP for Eclipse. Could be 2-0 for FaZe, it's not. They managed to shore up their weaknesses and play the end of the round this time very well, and it's a tie game between these 2 teams.
Eclipse did another flawless because he got that kill. The NDC 2C4 here, 1 came out earlier, this one came out the second time. That's NGR and Pambusu off the round, then Super Astro with that nice shot onto Canadian from below. And that's really it. Once you lose the 2 first players to those C4s, the round is really, really tough when you're attacking because you lose so much utility, so much ground, and once, as I said, FaZe gets the aggression, they do not stop. They keep it up, they follow through, and they play together, making it so difficult to find any openings when you're against them. I like the 6th pick onto the Maverick. You get more grenades, but also you get that Heartbreach gadget. The insurance policy, if you will, because you only have 1 other hard breach in Eclipse on the A. So if Eclipse falls, that's it. You cannot breach any walls. Now, well, you get a second shot. Even though Maverick is not the best hard breach on Kafe because, well, when you see the setup and it's hard to Maverick open most walls, at least it's something. And if they're going basement, which FaZe did not do this time, they are going back to reading. But if they went basement, that's where Maverick really shines, because you can go for these direct bakery attacks and it's a lot easier. But it will be a top floor extension once again from the side of FaZe. Shield and Pixel, no mirror this time, that's the change. So FaZe doing a good job at that dynamic gameplay of doing a multiple side setup when they go here for the second time around. First time was a win in favor of DC. And this time FaZe looks to change it up to try and change that outcome as well. Spawn peek, actually, from Astro. Doesn't find anything.
Doesn't find anything. What if I just started repeating it the whole way?
That would be extremely annoying for everybody, and myself, and you.
Oh, okay. Anyway, still on this top floor, some late reinforcements being done 15 seconds in. White Stairs will be a big focal point for FaZe Clan. They've got 2 players over there, one of which is now moving away as quickly as they can. That's Bullet. They wanted him to play over by Pixel, and he'll do just that with the Goyo shield in front of him.
It's like a 2-step setup, you know? 1-2, 1-2. You play this shield, gets destroyed, you play the second shield until that gets destroyed. Then you still have planks with 2 ADSs as a 3-step plan, almost.
This is like World War I, where it's like you defeat your opponents and you dig trenches, you move forward. And then you defeat them and you dig more trenches and you move forward. Now, except trenches, it's just Goyo shields, where it's like, oh, you blew up the Goyo shield, then you gotta move to the next one. So.
He had 3 at one point. Hard to believe. ADS gets burned, second flashman follows, confirms the thought from DC that, well, there is only one. Then the nade follows, the shield is gone. But now, jokes on you, we have more shields coming up next in the white hallway. Of course, bathroom as well can be played, but Bullet says, you know what, this shield is more comfortable, and so are the white stairs. Other than that, FaZe did not play aggressive. They did not play Cigar. They're not really playing under Skylight either. So DC can take the ground. They made a safe play, getting on that repels, clearing the shield, then dropping Cigar, so that now they can be comfortable in here. With the shield being gone, there's not going to be any easy directions for, or easy direct ways for FaZe to challenge. So once DC moves up one more room, that's when the battle will come.
Well. As the first kill of the round goes to Souls. Off screen, happening upstairs, as we talked about, how this defense is so focused on the top floor, and Souls could have another one as well. I assume that the Bailiff is his secondary. He can drop, but is waiting on the hatch. There's the disappearing act. Cyber helps a man out. He doesn't have to switch to that secondary, so he can get away. As good as gone. Hyper down for the count. Hyper now having an uncharacteristically bad round and bad map for him.
Kind of nade over, actually, to kill his damage. They could have just used the torch, I feel like, but either way, nade goes south. Now they can reach the wall, and that's going to compromise FaZe's top floor hole, but they all run away. There's no one there, and the Toxic Babes has found the side of NGR. That's unfortunate, but now FaZe, they've given up the top floor with 30 seconds left, and now DC, what can you do? You have extremely limited vertical play because you've lost the sledge, right? So you just got these breaching charges from Eclipse, last one about to go out. That's all you have. Gotta just be bunkering through side once again. That's going to be difficult.
And Canadian is now one of the 3 remaining players for DarkZero. Panbazoo as well as in action. Canadian gets a kill, but immediately Panbazoo is dropped, then Canadian pays for it, as does Eclipse. A utter collapse of DarkZero, and that's all she wrote on that round. FaZe Clan putting in work after surrendering that first round to a series of blunders where it was eminently winnable. Now they turn around and they are not repeating those mistakes again.
It really does seem like when DarkZero loses their first player that they really kind of fall apart and they kind of go like, well, what do we do now? And it's kind of like a panic play, and it kind of worked for them, like, but then again, the timer takes so far down that it didn't. What happened was that they threw a summer charge on the blue wall from Freezer, and there was a jammer. Then they opened up the floor above and they grenade it, right? Clear the jammer, breach the wall. The second they do that, FaZe just run away. They understand that their position is compromised. They can no longer hold this ground comfortably. But then we look at the clock. It's at 45 seconds, just now and last round too. And that's not enough time. NGR then died to Toxic Babes in the midst of that and sledged off the board. So you have no real way into the bomb site. You cannot clear out any positions. You have almost no drones left. And, well, Nomad, while she's great for flank holding, is not great for going into the bomb site. So you have very little to work with. That means we're in the basement, and this rotation from Bakery that we see, it kind of speaks to the fact that Maverick is open and was in play last round. So FaZe playing dynamically once again, always extending out and above, making sure that every single position for DarkZero, well, they'll have to work for it. They'll get challenged on the entry points, and that's good if you're FaZe, because otherwise attackers, they can just run you over. FaZe shuts DC down at every single step so far, whether it's going for a spawn peek or those early C4s, or just extending out and playing the map dynamically.
All right, now we're going to see some presence on that bottom floor, basement, first floor, whatever you want to call it, Nick. Kitchen.
I was just about to write basement because you said that. Ground floor first.
Ground floor.
My bad. We'll get there. Kitchen. We are in kitchen.
Absolutely correct. Lineup that's coming in for the defenders, extremely flexible, but there's one thing that's going to catch your eye about this lineup.
Oh. It's the Caveira, isn't it?
Nice calf play.
I actually didn't see it, though. Good point. Oh, I saw. Actually, I did see it.
If you're DarkZero saying, "Oh, I didn't see it," not good enough against the Caveira.
It's not. It's gonna punish you, right?
It'll hurt. Yes.
We've seen it twice before here at Invite. It's an extreme. It's almost like one of those disrespectful picks where like you're only picking this because you believe you can just roll over your opponent, because this is not a typical approach to the game. And I mean, we'll see if Astro can get something for his money's worth here. He's hiding top floor in Cigar, but no, Canadian gets the opening kill onto Bullet.
Who says the old man can't shoot back? I'm nasty! Or so he might scream, I'm not sure. Half of his HP gone away. Still 2 Rotero drones to use in the final 90 seconds now. They've picked off Bullet. Astro as well, still this big question mark. Where is he going to go? Because you want to isolate one of the attackers. If this is a more linear take from DarkZero, then they're going to head into Bakery, and you're not really going to have an opportunity for any of those interrogations.
No, and that's the thing. Cafe is one of those maps where defenders are mostly in the same area of the map, and FaZe, instead of falling back, have now aggressed. Astro looking for a flank, but the air jump stops him dead in his tracks. He's now stuck in pillars. Souls finds a kill onto Eclipse, so that's all that happens for now.
Juggling around, and
you're dead.
He might try to find his way out of here. Dead. There he goes. There's not much he can do. I mean, I would kind of want to use the pistol in that instance. That thing does so much damage close range. It's at least attracted the attention of 2 players of DarkZero on that middle floor. Now Canadian falls to Souls. It's a second kill for him. Souls on the Rooney, picking up 2 of his 3 kills so far in this round. That leaves a 3v3 with another Adrenal Surge to go off. Cyber swatted away by Pambazoo. A much better performance by Pambazoo on this map. Not inside of his own head, but his bullets inside of the head of others. Souls barricading himself back in the bomb site, safely, waiting, patiently. A toxic canister goes out from Cameraman as well as FaZe Clan braces for the storm of DarkZero. DZ will aggress from over towards Whiskey, only 1 player rotating, and FaZe need to be aware of this. A shot from Souls, he doesn't know there's one to his left, and he might get picked off from that angle. He's getting spam pings, not a lot of bullets, not a lot of time either. There was the diffuser in hand, you need to go for the plant, but Cameraman stays alive, and it's another blunder, but this time from DarkZero, as FaZe picks up their 3rd round in a row.
DC managed to collapse on 2 players that round in a 2 versus 1. They did a really good job at finding those picks, but then what happened? Well, the diffuser, folks, was left outside the small bakery window, and DC realized that with 15 seconds to spare, even if they had successfully gone through the door in towards the bomb site, that's all you can do. You cannot stop planting. They never picked it up, and they realized way too late. Scrappy round, messy round, good flank cover from the Nomad, and that basically ensured that that flank from Astro on the Caveira didn't go through. But that's not enough, because you also need to get something done on the bomb site once you get through that flank roam situation. And well, you didn't get any way in. We saw a Kali 6-pick from Canadian. That's going to help you a lot with those mute jammers. And with Souls bringing out the mirror on this top floor defense, this actually bodes quite well for DC, because now you can Kali the wall with the lands, then throw your Selma charge from Eclipse and breach the walls open, directly countering this entire setup. So you have extremely good utility. And FaZe, well, they won't know this because it was a 6-pick from Canadian. It's a good read.
Well, Kali. What was the last time you and I saw a Kali?
Long time ago.
I feel like it was in the groups, though.
Yeah, in the groups early on, we did see a Kali for a single round.
It might have been a Clubhouse or a Villa, I want to say. Or a Chalet? I mean, I almost named half of the maps.
That was almost half
so,
the
I mean,
maps, yeah.
I think it was on one of the following 7 maps.
We can agree that we saw it at least. That's for a fact. Like we did.
Yeah, we did. But, all right. Diffuser in hand, it is imperative that DZ do not drop it this time, as it was a messy end as they went for that final kill, unable to get it. Did not work out the way they wanted. You conceal the Kali for as long as possible. But now, there you go. The shot has been made, opened up. The jig is up. A Nitro Cell gets tossed out from FaZe. It does not connect, and immediately they've fallen off that top floor. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my!
On the rope.
Cyber sees the rope of NJR, and he's as good as gone. It's NJR's time to take up that I'm not doing well mantle that Pambazoo had before.
Yeah, and it's important when you rappel on these windows that, well, you just saw it. In TR, he didn't do it arguably correctly because he showed the rope, and that verifies the assumption that you can have that, well, he's below where that breach is. If you rappel upside down, well, his head will, of course, show, but at least he also sees the opponent back. And that's, again, the opening kill for FaZe. That's 2 nades off the board, and you use the Kali to open up the hatches safely, only to lose the sledge moments after. It's not great. You still got what you need, though. You got the Kali with the lances. You got the Selma charges on the ace. You can pick this bomb site apart. And here we see it. First land goes out, clears the jammer. Selma should follow up shortly. And that means that mirror window will be gone in a moment. And there it is. Great job, DC. What now? You force FaZe backwards, but you still got that 4v5 situation.
You've opened up some of the bathroom, and now that really strong spot is gone. But I think they might have actually got the Selma. I think they did. Mute got it, apparently, so there you go. Mute shot it, and it's still upright. They've now finally lost the Selma, but or lost that mirror window because of the Selma. And DZ's drones will skirt in, trying to find some information as to these players on FaZe Clan, who have a wealth of time. They just need to sit back and wait.
Yep. That's the name of the game of your FaZe, because you don't gotta move a muscle. In DC, they have to pick you apart. They have 2 nades left, and they gotta use those very well because FaZe are sitting in very strong positions, and they're not gonna give you much, but Eclipse finds 1. That's not what you need. You need more than just 1.
On a Bullet. 3-3-3 for Bullet. Interesting scoreline for him. 30 seconds to go, and now it's Astro taken apart by Pambazoo. Eclipse as well. He finds his 2nd kill of the round. FaZe dying to all the gun barrels of DZ. They got that first pick, but that's about it. Cameraman on the flank. He looks the wrong way. Souls has been down. This round should go in favor of DarkZero. Nice pick from Cameraman. Is Souls retrievable? That is the real question. The answer, no. Pambazoo picks up kill number 2 to 2 for Eclipse. In the clutch, Cameraman realizes how hard this is. He's been here before. He sees the ace of Selma for but a second. 3 kills from Eclipse on that round. And DZ can pick up round number 2.
And DC stops FaZe's streak because they got 3 rounds in a row. And, well, now we're back. 3-2. That's all right, considering that this is FaZe on the defensive side. And the 6 pick onto Kali really did everything that they needed. They did a really good job at utilizing understanding, well, it's a top 4 attack, we might face the mirror. And even if the mirror wasn't on the board, it's the same story. The mute jammers are guaranteed to be coming out because it happens every single time on this map of Kafe, and that's what the Kali is so good. People think, well, Thatcher is the only operator that can do this, so he's so worth banning. But you're wrong, because Kali is essentially a secondary mini Thatcher in an operator. And the one reason why teams don't tend to bring her that much is because her bolt-action primary sniper rifle is not that popular amongst the pro players. Because with every gun one-shot headshotting and having high fire rate, it's really hard to challenge people. If you miss 1 shot in the gunfight on Kali, you're likely dead. And sure, she does have that secondary SMG, just like the Clash. I have no idea what it's called. And it's a very, I would say, average weapon. But average at this level of play, I mean, you're fighting up against LMGs, right? Guns doing 47 damage a bullet. You got a bolt action that might injure you in 1 shot or do half damage if you hit the shoulder or the leg. It's unreliable and a bit inconsistent. And FaZe once again shows us a different side setup. The castle, the mute, and the Kai, but Pambazoo shuts down the spawn pick from Cyber, and now you're controlling the pace because the early aggression is punished, arguably the first time this entire series.
Yeah, that's the start that you want to have for DarkZero, so that's one objective down. Cyber having a very bad game thus far, but the rest of his team has been able to somewhat pick up the pace. It's actually quite even. Nobody really succeeding more than everybody else through these 5 rounds. 5 kills is the top of the charts for FaZe Clan. In terms of DZ, Pambazoo quite top-heavy. There's utility work from the Sledge as well on Repel. And one of the things when you have a team that has that 3-strike potential, TSM gets talked about it a lot. You know, you've got Achieve American Bolo. Here on DarkZero, you've got Pambazoo, you've got Hyper, and you've got NJR. Over on the side of FaZe, it's more just two. It's oftentimes Astro and Cyber. So if one of them goes quiet, you might be in a bit more trouble. The thing is that FaZe does tend to be that more evenly balanced team. With DarkZero, if somebody goes quiet, you got somebody else there to pick up the pace. Eclipse can step up really big as well, even though he's not one of those main points of action.
Yeah, he had like a 17-kill game, one of the first games in group stage on Thermite of all operation. We're like, you know what, Eclipse, get off the Thermite and start gunning more. Free play C4 from Bullet. That's going to be for that new balcony hatch drop. And once again, same start from FaZe. They love this C4 play. They've gotten like 5 kills or 4 kills so far in these first 5 rounds. We are on the 6 right now. And once again, it works in their favor. Pambazoo shut down Cyber, but Bullet stops Pamba. That's a trade, if you will, but with a minute in between. Another one.
Gonna connect.
Another prep C4. All right, FaZe, show us what you got.
Nitro Cell's tossed up, not been pulled yet. Reading defense, 3rd attempt for FaZe Clan. They won it the last time before. They had that really miserable start on this bomb site, if you recall.
Yep.
Series of blunders, just as we saw blunders from DarkZero. Nitro Cell is still sitting there waiting. Hyper from below will toss a nade. It will sail far up, far wide. Nobody from FaZe greets it. And JR still posted up on the top floor as well. And with that player of Hyper down below, that means that you've got 2 players that are not directly connected to the bomb site. But don't be distracted. The fact that you've got somebody up above, quite good. Because you're going to want to watch that floor. You're going to want to watch the bomb site down below. DZ dotting their I's and crossing their T's. Opening up more of the walls, and now some of the reinforcements that lead to the bomb site will be taken out from the Selma as well. That's Eclipse to do that with the Selma in hand, and he will look at where he just opened up before trading out and giving Hyper that position. FaZe are far enough back that it seems like they're inviting DZ into the bomb site. Souls catches Hyper. That's a misread from DarkZero. Now a flank coming in from Bullet. He's got some work to be done. Sees one body over by pillars, and it's a beautiful shot. 2 kills for him, and Astro gets one as well. FaZe domineering this first half, 4-2 in their favor.
Yep, 4-2 is the scoreline, and DC, a couple of things you gotta talk about. Good early round shot, shutting down the aggression, but C4 punished back. That's 4-4. Then, nothing happened for a while, but there are a few things I think that are worth talking about. The Kali was doing phenomenal work. They managed to breach every single wall in their sites that they wanted to breach, but there was one huge mistake. This breach right there, it's a vault hole into sight, and you're stuck in that animation. You can't really fight back. You cannot maneuver around. So by basically putting the Selma charge a little bit too far up, you're basically baiting or punishing your teammate who has to go through it because he's going to be in an unfavorable position. You gotta put those Selma charges a little bit further down so you can crouch through or do 2 breaches to combine in height so you can run or walk through, standing. That's going to punish you, and it did. The time, of course, well, not really being played so fast. DarkZero were executing the last 15 seconds in 3 of their 6 attacks at the minimum. The FaZe will have to do it a little bit quicker. They're bringing a different lineup-ish because Cyber's on the Ashe is one of those niche operators that some teams play sometimes. So typically, most people pick Sophia over Ashe because, well, arguably the gun is better. You get the LMG on Sophia, you get the stuns, and you get the lifeline soft breach. On Ashe, you only get those 2 breaching charges. Do you have the 3 see this? So you have breaching rounds with the gadget, and you have 3 breaching charges, the secondary gadget. That's a little bit confusing.
Is it coming out of a gun? Is it round? Then it's a breaching round.
Breaching round, gadget, breaching charge, secondary gadget. Yes.
Branding potential there could be.
It's actually
a little bit
pretty good with 2 use breaching charges against the castle, but FaZe have put most of their all the way around. DC has put most of the castle on the inside the building, so to speak, not in the exterior windows. Cartel window is soft, it's a normal barricade, etc. Double door, it's a cigar, it's a castle barricade, but no one's playing in cigar, so a little bit of an interesting setup from DC. Wondering if they're just gonna put it there for utility reasons. Playing very far back, quite passive. Like there's a very clear line in the map where like DC is somewhere and there's just nowhere else. You see right here, clear line. From Cigar into Walt's Cocktail, that's where DC is. But on the Piano Cigar side, there is no one. So a very clear line of what is FaZe's property and DC's property. And DC playing it really passive and far back.
They don't want to share their toys in the sandbox, so as you said, property being the word to talk about. Pambazoo safe as a bug in a rug inside of bathrooms. Drones still going by and none discovering them for now. 3 Rotero drones for FaZe. You saw in map number 1 how lethal and how important those Rotero drones can be for FaZe to clear out utility. Will they be able to just be the same success here? Nitro Cell expended by the mirror of NJR. Might as well do that before you lose the remainder of your HP. He doesn't find anything. Canadian on cam to guide the rest of his team. Just a little over a minute to go in round number 7. FaZe holding the advantage. Another Rotero drone goes in, and it'll go off. Not spotted, not swatted away. Or...
No, we're good. FaZe actually, they rotated off because they recognized they cannot clear that mirror window, so it's going to be a skylight window execute, and here we go, drop down onto site.
Oh my goodness, and they're heading in. Nitro Cell connects, Hyper takes out Astro. DZ still getting beaten, but DZ will head back to the bomb site. In a 5v3, that brief moment of action for FaZe not really working out in their favor. Now they have to hit the pause button. Diffuser isn't in their grasps either. They assess that there's a mirror window in play. Pambazoo barricaded inside a bathroom, still there. Nobody able to flush him out just yet. If FaZe go to enter, they'll be swinging through the windows, and they will be sitting ducks effectively.
They will. We saw the problem solving from FaZe wasn't there because there was no Kali like DC played themselves Eclipse on the white stairs. That's going to not bode good because there's a curse on the staircase. Or not this one in particular, but the one on Oregon. Eclipse does find a kill though. Makes it a 5v2.
Nicely played on their end. Really no hope here at all for FaZe Clan. They've got some marks, but they are just stopped by the nice network of defenses we saw from DarkZero. 4-3 in favor of FaZe still, but DZ pick up that 3rd round.
FaZe couldn't break it. A simple castle barricade, a runegate, mirror window, mute jam. That's not that simple. 4 different gadgets combined together, you know, just like FaZe did themselves. You know, you put a mirror down with a jammer and you then block the downside side with the castle barricades. They couldn't break it. They didn't have the Kali like Canadian was playing when he 6-picked it, and we just saw how difficult it could be. They droned it out, they breached some of the ghost castle barricades, and they said, you know what guys, we don't have enough utility. Go up to the roof, on the skylight, one person on a cocktail repel, drop and hope for the best. Very little follow-up, and it was more of like a desperate attempt because the time was taken away, and FaZe, well, they didn't want to sit around and wait and just lose on time. They said, we'll do it now with 50 seconds left, do or die kind of moment. And, well, when you're in the lead on this 4-2 side swap, you can cost a round, you can cost 2 rounds, and you're tied back up to 4-4, so you can get a little bit experimental, if you will. Still no Kali from them, but Cyber is bringing the Maverick. So one more set of nades and the torch to help if they need to, but that won't work against the mirror windows. Reading bomb site is 2nd rotation pick.
A strong start for FaZe on that first half after DarkZero takes round number 1. Again, FaZe could have very easily 5-1'd that first half. There was that mix-up the tail end of round 1, and I think it's enough time that we have referenced it, but this could be a completely different ball game. DZ answer back and have now found a little bit of a fire in their belly. This is FaZe's map, so if DZ can keep it close, that's great. Obviously, if DZ want to go on, they need to win this and then send us to Bank as the 3rd map to secure their place in the top 6. If not, the 2 teams to have gone home today will both be North American teams. That will leave 1 EU team, 2 NA teams, as well as the 3 Brazilian teams still standing.
Well, I'll tell you this, Parker. So DC have played this map 4 times, and in 2 of those games they went 8-6. So if anything, we can just expect that same score. It's going to be going the distance here. DC will not make it easy, but they might just come out on top. If not FaZe, of course, will walk away 2-0. So DC needs to go the distance.
Settle in, get some popcorn, get some water, get whatever you need, because it might go all the way, as you pointed out. FaZe Clan can break the hearts of DarkZero with an early kill and then a pick on this round. They'll move closer to match point. Eclipse swatted away by one of those air jabs. A cameraman can't be too quick to pounce. Instead, he'll hear the carbine, but he doesn't have any intel, and he doesn't want to put himself in a position where somebody from DZ could be over in back bar. Somebody could be over by cocktail door. I think that's wise for cameraman to do. Even if they do have the advantage on the top floor, they get the pick on the Canadian. Down goes the Kaid, and FaZe Clan with half the round to go have an advantage that now grows. Pambazoo isolated, taken out of action. Eclipse still in the spot above. That was their first target, but FaZe didn't want to go for it. Instead, their attention went elsewhere, and now Eclipse will drop, but give himself away. As he heads up, there's a lot of work to be done, and even more, it's all on the shoulders of Hyper. Every single player from DZ is dead. Hyper gets the first pick on the Souls. 4 more to be found. 1 minute to go. Inside of the bomb site for Hyper. He knows they're coming by. He swings, gets one, but Cyber's a little bit too low. That was a puzzling round for DZ. FaZe Clan act quickly, and they're now up 5-3.
Hyper actually got hit with the grenade, doing that 5 damage or whatever number it does, and well, that's going to force a tactical timeout. And it's a great time to take it because you are down 3-5 if you're DarkZero, and you just got the side swap. So you're now finding yourself arguably on the favorable position of defense. But it hasn't really worked out so far. Well, it's 1 round to DC, 1 round to FaZe since the side swap, so it's even. Both teams have 1 opening kill, so trade it back and forth. And now, well, you gotta find more. Talk about what's the next step. Maybe bomb site prioritization. Which strategy will be bringing? Could be the mirror, could be without the mirror. But we did see that FaZe particularly didn't like to play against the mirror. They didn't know how to deal with it. So if you're DarkZero, I think you keep on bringing it and just keep putting problems in this phase, in the face of FaZe. Other than that, I do think you gotta extend up more aggressively. We saw the last time they defended top floor, nobody from DC was inside Piano or Cigar. They just gave it to FaZe. And if we saw how FaZe defended, well, opposite story. They played in Pixel on that shield with ADSs. They played in Cigar early, shut down a drone, and fell back. You really need to be able to control the map and then fall back 1 step at a time. If you give up too much space, well, the attackers will get really comfortable and your life gets harder. As I say that, Canadian has now 6 pick just now from the castle onto the mirror, and they agree that, well, they saw FaZe struggle, so why not bring it 1 more time?
All right. Crucial round for FaZe Clan. Back to Reading Room. We're going to see DZ go. Maybe try something new with the way that they had that setup going. The timeout in the previous map did absolutely nothing. DZ took it after round number 8 when it was 5-3, and the scoreline of that map ended up being 7-3. So FaZe taking the next 2 rounds means that DarkZero don't get much for it. They're not really in bad position in this map, but they're in the same spot in terms of numbers-wise, and the only difference is that it's only been a single round since DZ last won their last 1 round, whereas the map before it was 2 rounds. Not a lot has changed. Taking it at roughly the same time, see if it pays off. As you said, in that operator lineup that you saw, it worked against FaZe. DZ might like what they have in their setup.
Certainly, and both of these teams here at SI has actually had a bit of a turbulent situation, right? It's been like a little bit back and forth. FaZe has looked mostly good, and DC's looked both terrible, average, good, super good, and then this game kind of down to that mid area again where they're falling a little bit short, right? They had a great game against Furia. They won 7-3, 7-2, but nowhere near that same scoreline we're seeing here in Cyber. Are you walking just past DC up to tops 4? What? Takes down the mirror? That's a huge kill in an important area of the map. You work past the bomb site all the way up. Now you're making your way back down and just sitting and waiting.
I don't know whose set of eyes from DZ needed to be watching that, but they did not do their job, and now NJR is gone as well. I feel like we said that Cyber was having a bad game, and then he just leveled up at that point. DarkZero, listless. FaZe, 2 big picks. Huge for them.
And this is where barbed wire comes into play, because when you set up these defensive rounds, there has to be barbed wire or some sort of deny on the staircases, because otherwise this happens. You walk all the way up, nobody hears it, nobody sees it, and FaZe still have 9 drones left as well, so plenty of information to work with.
I mean, but hey, DZ seems to be hitting their shots. DZ's numbers will get dwindled down, but cameraman on a tiny bit of HP, he's still upright. Low enough that a single bullet is going to remove him from action, but there's damage that he can absolutely do. On drone, maybe he doesn't want to put himself in a bad spot, so he will allow Astro and Souls to flourish. As you talked about, the drones, very good for FaZe. So 8 available for them. They've actually got more than that. They've got 12 because there's 4 Rotero drones, Nick, as well that are available. 3 still remaining from Souls, who's got that diffuser.
Slowing down. That's what we can do if we're attacking because we got the time on our side. But Hyper, the timing doesn't favor him because he walks past an enemy not knowing that Soul's inside of mining, but both get to live. Nobody fired a single bullet that actually connected. They're both full.
Hyper on white stairs. Here's the telltale sign of an ARX, but there isn't much to cameraman. Eclipse is gone, and it's Hyper with 1 HP. Stopped by Astro. Match point, series point. This is a funeral for DarkZero at this moment.
Let me ask you this, Parker. What happens to the losing team of this match?
We put them on a rocket ship and we blast them into the sun.
That's terrible. You can't say that.
We put a dresser progressively closer to their bed so that every time they wake up, there's a greater risk of them stubbing their toe on the dresser. That's what happens to the team that loses.
All right, I'll tell you what really happens because
Hold on a second.
thing
I
is...
think I know this one.
Okay.
They go home.
Yes. They do go home.
We say goodbye. We bid farewell. I wish I spoke Swedish so I could say what goodbye is
Farvel.
in...
It's like farvel or farvel. I'm not sure in the enunciation.
No, it's favela. It's a map.
Say
Say it again.
Farvel.
There you go. We'll say goodbye. If it was in Montreal, we would say au revoir. Adieu.
Okay.
There you go, in French, even though my French accent is terrible. You need to bring on Milos to really give you that good French.
He could show us.
Yeah. He absolutely would. DZ are throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, and boy, oh boy, Kafe is not their map. Neither was Clubhouse, despite the fact that DZ picked it. Honestly, we've seen matchups where teams are not themselves. They don't play to their strengths, and things just don't work out. You lose because you're in your own head. I would argue that Damwon Kia did not show up. They were not themselves, and they got beat. They were out of sorts. They made a lot of mistakes, and that's a big part of why they got eliminated. Not necessarily that their opponents, Oxygen, were better. Today, FaZe Clan have made almost no mistakes on these rounds. I think if you go back to Clubhouse, there's maybe 2 rounds that we see where FaZe Clan actually committed blunders. One of those rounds came in round number 1 of this map. This map would be over if FaZe Clan had better coordination when it comes to the post plant. So, this is a team that looks scary, scary good right now. It's not even that DarkZero has been playing poorly. DarkZero's actually been playing quite well. They're just getting beaten all over the map by this FaZe team.
Yeah, I mean, FaZe is one of the fan favorites to take this event. I mean, you asked the players.
I asked the players.
And they said FaZe.
They said FaZe
is the team.
Is the team.
To watch out for.
To watch out for. Yeah. And guess what?
They are.
They are indeed. We're watching it firsthand right here, right now.
So it's do or die for DarkZero. It's match point. This could be your final round at SI22, or if you manage to get the following 3 rounds, you will take us to OT and get to fight for that 8-6 scoreline that you've won twice before already. So DC are familiar with that territory, but getting there will be the challenge. The setup is the same, the mirror windows, those castle barricades, but when you look at that, Souls is playing the Kali, mirroring what DarkZero did when they won their attacking round. Same, similar. Did he just punch the mirror door?
Yeah, why did Canadian do that?
I'm curious if it breaks the summer charge if it was on the window itself, but that's a different story.
I honestly don't know. That's a very good question. But maybe he did get the Selma charge, and maybe that was the intention behind it. I'm not sure. But it does cost him the mirror window, and they've had to give up some of that control. It's allowed Canadian into the back of Bar, where now some of the wall will go, and he is really trapped inside of the freezer upstairs.
Yeah, he is, and there's no nades from FaZe, by the way, so the freezer is a strong position. The downside of Kali is you get less nades, but now the gunfights are coming out. 1-for-1 trade, nobody benefits the most. DC can hold on, hold strong with a minute left to go.
I would argue that losing Cyber definitely benefits DZ, and now Cameraman is as good as gone, and JR lines up for 2 on the bullet. DZ need to find some 5th gear right now. Astro shuts him down, and FaZe have equalized yet again, but inside a freezer, it's Hyper. He just chills Astro. Souls on that Kali, as we talked about. doesn't have access to the bolt action, instead running with the SMG. Here's the Roni and knows that somebody's playing over by the top of white stairs. That'll be Souls. Has to look in the wrong way. He does a lot of damage to Panbazoo, but DZ stay alive. Fans of the Bee Gees, perhaps. It's a 4th round for DarkZero. They stave off defeat. For now, they are still in this tournament. But that light hasn't gotten that much closer at the end of the tunnel.
DC looking a bit more quiet today than they did yesterday against Fur, and it is late here. It's the last game of the day and whatnot. And
8:40 p.m.
They didn't have a best of 3 earlier, right? Because this is the first time they play on stage. As we have less teams here, there are less matchups.
Yes.
We only have one stream. There isn't, like, there's one desk in this room. There's no second desk to cast on. This is it. We're really getting down to the last few teams because we're entering stage 3 very quickly. This event has been going on since the 8th of February officially. We've been here for quite some time at this point, and it's been lovely, I will have to say. But if you're DC, of course, you're gonna stick around longer. If you FaZe, same exact story. That means you'll have to fight tooth and nail to the bitter end. And I'm extremely curious what happened with the mirror because I actually checked. Astro spent 2 Selma charges. So I am really curious, and I want to test this after this game. If you throw a Selma charge or a Heart Breach on a mirror window, and then you punch the glass, does that break any, Heart Breach gadget on the opposite side because it shatters? I'm very, very, very intrigued. I'm very curious, and I need to know. If anybody knows, tweet at me, DM me, whatever. I need to have this answer because it's really bothering my brain. So I feel like I know most things about the game, but this one I'm like, does it work that way? I'm not quite sure. You wouldn't know, Parks. I'm not even gonna bother asking you. But
Oh, okay.
if I don't know it, you don't know it. It's very simple. No offense, but you're a caster.
No offense, but I'm about to say something offensive. You know that doesn't shield you from being offensive, right?
Okay. My bad.
I don't hate anime.
I'm sorry.
I don't hate anime, but I've just never enjoyed watching one.
Okay.
See, no, but that doesn't work that way, Nick.
No, I think it's
It
fine.
doesn't work that way.
I think
that
it's
means I hate it. Okay.
I don't have an issue with it.
I have an issue with anime, and where do I begin?
DarkZero will have to begin this round the same way as last. It was NGR who really popped off, had a phenomenal round, found 3 picks, I believe, or at least 2. He's now in smoke, but it's that FMG. Good weapon because the shotgun is being brought out from the Bailiff of Eclipse and the punching of a Rooney on Canadian. So you don't need that primary shotgun. You can do all the rotations that you need. We're no longer on top floor bomb site. It's reading, but we have extended up above. That's how teams have to play this map because otherwise, well, attackers, they take the ground and then you lose the round. So it really will be do or die for this top floor defense. The only way DarkZero can give it up is if they can burn down the clock far enough to then give it.
Ooh, I like this. That nade goes in, by the way, to Panbazoo. He doesn't take any damage. He immediately decides to take the gunfight on the window and then peel off. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
It's 5-5. Nade comes out. There should be nobody there. There isn't.
That's the same nade that went in before, but it was Eclipse in that position instead of Panbazoo. So they don't really want to do too much. I love that gun skin, by the way. That's the EUL logo on the gun skin.
Sure. Top floor has been surrendered by the DC. The similar story when FaZe was here, but the opening kill goes to Cyber. This man has been so lethal throughout. He really showed up second half on Kafe. That means that it clips off the board. Not too big of a loss in terms of gadgetry, but of course, it's a good gun.
Oh, Cyber stays alive. The odds for FaZe shoot through the roof. He was the first to die in the previous round, and the rest of his team just simply could not make up for that killing potential off of the board. He had a slow start to this map, but has absolutely found the accelerator since then. The rest of his team have to contribute at this point. It's a mining defense on that second floor. FaZe have control of the top, but they then need to move on down. Souls, what are you doing, by the way? Canadian sees him from a long-range angle inside of mining. Astro will now just continue to survey this same area, Canadian isolated. And that's 30 seconds to go. Panbazoo, next one up. He's trying out dual Cyber. That is a tough prospect for most players, as now Cyber watches him run. Dropping on down. He sees the bulletproof camera, and there it goes. FaZe with an advantage. A 4v3. Cyber on low HP, getting the diffuser down. There are 2 sets of smokes. NJR to the rescue. He gets gunned down, but Panbazoo stops the diffuser in its tracks. 10 seconds left. FaZe will need to pick up the diffuser and go for a plant, but they don't have any intel, and there's Hyper playing off of the pings. He can collect quite easily. Panbazoo next one up. Bullet is down for the count, and Cameraman stopped in his tracks. DarkZero is no longer asleep. We're going to need a 12th round to settle this between these teams.
I'm telling you, Parker, 8-6 will be the scoreline. Just you wait, we will get there. DC is still looking not that loud. I mean,
there was a cry.
You're making a comeback, right? We gotta go, woo, guys. Bring the energy. I truly believe it plays a factor into the mental, the momentum, and how you feel within the game. Huge round from Pamba, flying the red stairs, shot down the plant from Cyber, and Hyper, he really waited around. They wanted FaZe to stop planting, enable that 1 versus 2. Because if one guy is planting, he cannot be called to action. And then when that situation occurs, then you walk back into the bomb site, 1 from red stairs, 1 from pillar, you take the 2v1 gunfight. They won it, last man's planting, as all too easy. 5-6. The thing about DC is that they're working their way through the bomb sites, but they played mining. That means reading is still available. They do not have to go to the basement. They can stake it up here, where they've been doing so well, finding all of their success. Since the side swap, on the very first round, they won the top floor defense. Then they lost reading, and they lost reading. Back to top floor they went, then to mining, now back to reading again. No basement inside for DC. Just staying above will be the mirror. So we're going back and forth between the 2 different strats. One was without the mirror and one was with the mirror. This time though, like the first time around, there is no Kali from FaZe. So has FaZe learned from the previous mistakes? Can they break apart this defense? Remember, what happened was that Cyber just walked up the white stairs and got 2 kills, and they still lost the round after because NJR was there to clutch. And it won't be that easy this time around if you're FaZe, I hope, because there should be a pair of eyes on that white staircase. Otherwise, well, oh, Cyber, he's gonna do it again. He's gonna do it again. He's gonna walk on up, Parker.
He's not droning white stairs, though. He's droning out.
He's just setting it up. He has 1 more drone bottom white, 1 drone brown stairs, so he sees both areas. You see here and there, and then he's gonna walk in now.
Let's ride along now with our Cyber cam.
Oh, they saw it.
Spotted him right away.
Yep, good job. And barbed wire.
Barbed wire, so
a little bit far down.
They've shored up some of their weaknesses.
Really good.
Nobody from brown stairs to punish him. But as you can see, there's 2 players on white stairs now, so they're going to prevent him from doing that same thing as you talked about.
Well, that's good.
Both in the vicinity.
Repeating mistakes is like the biggest mistake you really can make because you need to learn from your mistakes, and I'm really glad to see that that's not the case this time around. Cyber, he tries it, recognizes, okay, they've countered it, let's do something else instead. So good read from both teams, really, not really overstepping their line.
Pretty wild, by the way. Even though you said that 8-6 were the 2 score lines on this map for DarkZero, that DZ is doing better here on Kafe than they did on Clubhouse. That is abnormal. You would figure that on their own map, they would be in a little bit better position. Oh, the run out from Pambazoo, and cameraman makes that read look so routine. Knows exactly where they are and now is swinging to try and capitalize off of it. Jackal tracks to just push away these DZ players. All of FaZe, upstairs, control of that top floor, as talked about. Pambazoo has been the star for his team so far, and that's it for him this round, sitting on the bench.
They have limited vertical, breaching charges from Astro going out, Retero drones 2 available as well. No sledge on the board, they have no grenades, no utility at all. They spent everything to gain top floor control. It'll be a brawl, a gun fiesta, if you will, and Cyber looking to just get active onto bomb side. He cannot wait.
And there he is, he's walking right in. Doesn't have the diffuser, though. That's Souls who has it, by the way. Does DarkZero know that FaZe Clan are in the bomb site? Yes, they do. They see Cyber, and it's Eclipse with the stellar eyesight. That's a big kill. 40 seconds left. This will be the calm before the storm. DZ looking to ride out said storm. If they do, overtime awaits, but Hyper loses his duel to Bullet from above. NJR sees the Jackal, cameraman caught sleeping, and now NJR has another lined up, but no. Astro says, I've got something to say about that. Final 2 players from DZ will go against the 2 sites, a Bullet and Astro as diffuser goes down. This is where things get from bad to worse for DZ. Eclipse retaking from above. There's 1 player from FaZe up there. Down goes Canadian. Eclipse has been in so many clutch moments, he hasn't succeeded yet. He'll need to do it this time for his team to stay. There's 1 kill to go. 2 more for him. Does he know where the diffuser is? Almost past the point of no return. About 10 seconds left for Eclipse, but not even that. The Brazilians do it in the 11th hour on map 2. FaZe move on, DarkZero go home.
There's that energy from FaZe, really happy with that victory. Of course, for them, might have come a little bit easy to them. It was a very one-sided Clubhouse on that first map. 7-3 scoreline onto what we just saw on Kafe. A nice try of a comeback, but fell a little bit short. 7-5 final scoreline. The kills quite even, but it wasn't that even of a match.
That was a very quick matchup. We're not even 2 hours in yet, and it's over. That's with breaks and the preamble included.
And the rehost.
And the rehost as well. For DarkZero, this is a team that picked up Canadian in September with the goal of improving time after time. And honestly, I think improvement has been the name of the game for this squad. As we say goodbye to another North American team, the second today, you have to look at the growth of this DZ squad and realize that they are making steady improvements. Maybe SI wasn't theirs, Nick. Maybe the majors coming up will be. Maybe NA will be theirs. We don't know. But the fact that they went from getting grouped in Sweden to the finals of the NA League to the final 8 here at the 6 Invitational is a massive feat for this team.
It is, and it has really been an improvement all throughout. Same thing can be said for other NA teams such as Sonics. We've seen them stumble, seen them fall, and both teams have shown up at Invitationals. But one of those two teams, unfortunately, will be going home. That'll be DarkZero, but Sonics, well, they'll fight another day.
The only 2 teams that we said goodbye to today are North American teams.
Yeah.
They came into today with the lion's share. Half of the 8 teams remaining were from North America, but we said goodbye to Oxygen, and we just said goodbye to DarkZero. Tomorrow, FaZe Clan will go, or rather 2 days from now, FaZe Clan will go up against MIBR. It will be a regional matchup, and that will be electric. That's what FaZe Clan has in store for them. So MIBR on this miracle run, who've knocked out NIP, who knocked out SSG, who are a big reason why Team 1 isn't here, now have an opportunity to knock out another major champion in FaZe Clan. That's it for Nick and I. We've got the command center to go over what you witnessed. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
And the post show.